anxious to get back myself.
Yeah.
We've got a big deal ahead of us there with the caregivers in Michigan.
It's huge.
And we need to keep our caregivers. If we give up our caregivers, then the medical goes, and then we're all screwed. So are we live?
Oh yeah, we're live. Good morning, everybody. Live.
And that's a big thing about I've been listening to about the whole people pushing away from the medical aspect because they want to push rec because then they can get away with the home growing altogether, because a lot of the home growing is due to the medicinal aspect anyways for the medical patients. So the more they get away with this medical and just rec, then a lot of the whole home growing is going to go away with it as well. And that's what's coming up in a lot of this legislation. So that awareness is awesome. Thank you for bringing that to attention.
Well, that's the reason why I really want to get back is, we need pot smokers. We're not used to getting together really, unless it's to smoke a joint. And, there's a lot of us out there and a lot of the active people that are still back and out of the game. You don't see them. I lived in the same town with Eagle there, and we never really met. We went to the same compassion club there in Flint, but we never really met, and we lived basically 5 minutes away from each other. And that's because I do large scale clones. And when you do clones and you have numbers, you don't talk to anybody. You don't let nobody in your house. So
I heard it can be a pretty secluded life, and when you're in it that deep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it can be, but you know what's really fun is the time that you're not eating ramen noodles and you've got a pocket full of cash, but you can't spend it in your town or your city or even your state, and then you just you do what I did there in 2005, 2006, and basically went to Amsterdam every couple months just for vacation. And you go there, you can go to like New York and see a bunch of friends for New Year's concert and blow $10,000 in a night and not worry about it. Those were the good days when we were still getting $4,000 and $5,000 a pound.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Back when you used to have the good days, moving shit around, having to do all the fun stuff, traveling to get your genetics. It wasn't fun, but fuck, it was fun.
It's fun in its own right. I need to go get some new genetics, so it's just another reason for me to go to Amsterdam. Boom.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was just a reason to do something cool for no reason.
What's a 12, 13 hour flight? I mean, I spent 26 hours in a plane to get here to Thailand.
I'm sure I could do that because it would be well worth it for the trip. But just thinking of myself, how like after about maybe 2 hours in the car, I start to get impatient. And about 4 to 6 hours somewhere in there is like my get me the fuck out of here limit. And just, yeah. I'd be bouncing off the walls, but that'd be really cool to go check out Thailand. That'd be really enjoyable.
Yeah, you just cut back your sleep pattern and take a bunch of medibles and sleep on the plane over. You got a short flight there. You can fly out of what? Vancouver.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Vancouver to probably Japan, Tokyo to Bangkok.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll have to try that sometime. Yeah,
only 16 hours.
Only.
What are you hanging out in Thailand doing right now?
Well, I'm sitting in northern Thailand with a 20-acre CBD permit that's just going to sit here. And You know, it's just like any place. They rush into putting cannabis and trying to get it out there and make the people think that they're getting something. And basically, with the way that Thailand is set up right now, it's all basically a military controlled country still. We're still in a coup that's been going on since 2014. So we've been under military control here in Thailand. A couple years ago, there was supposed to be, when I first moved here 3 years ago, there was supposed to be an election, and that didn't go over too well. And the prime minister at the time, they had the election, and he says, well, if you guys don't quit fighting, you know, I'm just going to stay in power. And that's what happened. But we did get medical, just no flower, concentrate. And the reason for that is because with a concentrate, you grow it for the government, everything goes to the government, and then it gets passed out to the people. I'm cool with that, but the fact that there's no flower, and for me, concentrates take a while, and for me to sit down and smoke a joint, I can get that nerve pain relief, that stiffness in my hands, that's gone within a couple minutes. It's not really gone, it's that I've gotten high enough that I'm able to separate the pain and go about normal day life. Where if I took a concentrate or something, it could take 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours to affect me. And that's my body personally by eating cannabis. It takes a long time. Yes, it does work for a lot longer time, but you know, I'm looking for that instant gratification, really. But all come down to it, I'm a true stoner all in all. I like getting high better than getting drunk.
I'm with you there, man. Absolutely 100% of the way. Like actually your good case in point is I think it was Thursday morning. My foreman comes to pick me up for work because I get picked up usually for work. It's always a plus. And he's like, he could tell, like, I get about 6 feet away from the truck and you can smell the booze already. And it's just like, wow. And, you know, we go to pick the next guy up, and he doesn't even get out of the fucking house because he's so fucking ill from the next day. On to the next guy. And then it's, you know, so 1 out of 4 guys couldn't even show up. The other 2 out of the 2 of them are fucking hungover as hell. And the work production goes down right there. But just more than anything, just looking at these guys is just like, fuck that. Like, just looking at you makes me remember what those hangover days are like. And I'm just like, no, thank you. You get laid out for 2 days straight after tying one on. Like, you know, like if I go batshit on edibles and dabs and stuff like that, I'll be a little groggy the next day, but like perfectly fine. I'm not hurting in any way, shape, or form. It just takes an extra 2 cups of coffee to kick the gears in, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I'm right there with you. For those of you out there in chat that don't know my story, in '94, I ended up falling 34 feet off the back of a scaffolding at work. I'm a mason by trade. And in September 16th, '94, I retired really quick by taking a step the wrong way. I don't even know how I fell. And that was the day that my life changed. And 8 months after that, I was back into cannabis because they were feeding me all a bunch of these bullshit pain pills that really weren't doing anything.
That seems to be a pretty common thing too, is pain pills for your injuries and stuff like that. And then you get strung out, turned into a junkie and whatnot. And profits away right there saying, hey, look at me right here. And then, you know, like I think of like I'm new to medical cannabis. I did the whole wasted youth stoner thing where with no ambition back in the high school days. And then I took a big long break. and came back, and now there's a whole bunch of medical stuff, and I can understand the whole medical benefits to cannabis and how it does alleviate aches and pains. I could say for myself specifically, I stopped using cocaine after starting to smoke weed again after that 14-year break, because there was no longer, I got that addictive personality where there's always got to be some sort of vice for me to have. And once I started doing this again, and I could think of quite a few other people that have gotten off of opiates and other stuff like that through using cannabis. And it's similar means. A lot of it is you're kind of replacing one addiction with another in a way. But a lot of there is more medicinal aspects to it too, like helping with your nausea or whatever, right? The list goes on.
Yeah, I
Not to
had
mention
my,
that, I mean, yeah, it's addicting in the same way that sex and video games are addicting. Like, I like doing it, and therefore it releases some dopamine, and we get addicted to it. But it's not that physical addiction that you're getting with the opiates.
and that's the big thing with cannabis. If you're going to try to help somebody get off of opiates, indicas are great. And adding a little bit of CBD to that is even better. You know, that's one thing I'd really like to touch on here is the fact that THC is needed in with CBDs. Without THC, the body's receptors are small. With THC, it's like going from a 110 to a 220 electrical line. You're able to let that current pass through. And as the CBDs travel through the body, the THC, even if it's just, you know, we're not talking much. The studies haven't been put out there, but from my personal testimony and other people that I've talked to and helped, it only needs to be about 3 to 4% THC. This gives a little bit of a psychoactive feeling, and this allows the more receptors to open up in the human body for the CBDs to travel through more fluidly with less restrictions. And in doing this, the CBDs actually run through the body for a lot longer period of time. So, you know,
is this the entourage effect that you're talking about?
It is. And that's the reason why they'll never be able to reproduce the cannabis plant in a laboratory. Because we don't know what's all in it. And they're still coming up with this new CBs and CBDs and THCV and stuff like that.
Delta 8 and 10
about that. So, you know, once we start to really understand the plant, you know, they're going to come out and how can I put this? Everybody's going to try to make money off of it. Okay. I was put in a great position. In Cleveland, we had what was called the North Coast Normal Chapter, which was on the east side or the west side of Cleveland. We had a retail operation in 1996. So our chapter had a storefront. And I was there with a few other volunteers in the beginning, our president, John Hartman. And we ended up starting that chapter with just when I started volunteering in 96, when the store opened up, the retail operation, we had just over 400 people. And by the time I left in 2000, we had over 4,300 people in our chapter. We were the most active normal chapter in the United States. We put out a newsletter at the end that was 46 pages, 4 times a year. And we put on 3 festivals, music festivals, besides our own little get-togethers and gatherings around Ohio and neighboring states. I started doing festivals in 96 and 97 for the chapter. So I was going to Pennsylvania, I was going to New York. I'm hoping to get back in time for September 17th, which is the Boston rally. This year will be my 25th year. But it gave me a great opportunity to see a bunch of people, and it gave me a great opportunity to do a lot of reading. Because in the beginning, the store didn't have really any customers. If I did $10, $15 a day, hey, that was fucking great. And then all of a sudden we started carrying all the drug testing products, and people started coming to the chapter because we were the only place where you could come and openly talk about cannabis, because we didn't sell pipes or paraphernalia. Yeah, we pushed the limit with lights and Fox Farm and Rock Wool and everything else you needed, and all the books to grow. And matter of fact, I'd like to give a shout out, because it's been over the period of time, to the city of Lakewood. As fast can be, you'll never catch me.
Very nice. Very nice.
Because yes, for everybody out there, I was growing above the normal chapter, just to clarify that.
I definitely appreciate all the roads you've paved in this community, you know what I mean? Because it's people like you that I was like reading about, you know what I mean, high times and stuff like that when I was growing up, and I was like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to be able to get out there and be able to join something like that one day, you know. And you know, here I am, being able to be involved in the community finally, and loving every minute of it. And it's only because of people like you that have gone out there and you were doing the work, you know what I mean? You were out there with the guys, you were up deep in it. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
For sure.
And it's a big you know, bonus that you weren't just doing it out there. You know, you didn't just run a grow room. You were in the chapter of normal. You were doing things to actually help. You weren't just fucking around, you know, running around smoking joints in public saying you were protesting some shit. So, you know, cheers to you, brother.
No, I was in a storefront for 6-7 hours a day answering phones and answering people's questions about cannabis. And we got calls and orders from all over the United States for our product, just because people could pick up the phone and talk to us. And I made it a point to, you know, be really up on the drug testing products in the late 90s. And I even made a couple of them fail. We ran our own tests. We had a local news channel that came in and asked if, you know, do these drug testing products work? These additives that you can add to your urine sample. And it was like, well, we'll pay for the drug testing products. Do you have somebody that can give you know, a positive drug test? And I said, well, yeah, you know, that's one of the prerequisites of working here at Normal. You know, if you pass a drug test, you're fired. If you fail, you keep your job. That's a prerequisite. You need to smoke cannabis to be.
They hiring?
That's the easiest part of the study. Is finding somebody that tests positive was the easiest part of the study. Shit. I have a smoke shop here in South Florida, and what's funny is that HBI, one of the main distributors of all smoking products, which is owned by Josh from Raw, on the back of the catalog, it gives you a little description on how to hire employees, and it says to hire smokers, you know, period. Like, you can't hire somebody that can't sit there relating with the customer, saying, "Oh yeah, I was sitting in my buddy's car and I got freaking, you know, I felt high from the smoke in the car." You know, I was like, listen, narc, we all know that nobody gets high from sitting in a fucking car, you know?
My parole officer said he got a contact high from coming into my apartment 30 minutes after I took one bong rip.
Yeah, you should tell him to test.
I mean, I know my weed's good.
Test your ass.
If you got a contact high, it's because you know what being high feels like.
Oh.
That's what I was gonna say.
The contact high is a psychosomatic response. You smell it and it triggers being high.
It took him back to his college days. He was like, "Oh, I feel high."
Oh, hey, Hype.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I waited as long as I could. She's coming down.
Yep.
But I waited another day or two.
What she smell like?
She smells like lime, dude. Ugh. God, want to eat this thing.
What's that Canical?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I think I might have got an ounce. I might have, way better than my last auto grow of an eighth and maybe a quarter if I weighed it wet. So, I'm pretty excited.
Since you're in a state, in a country where we get our kratom from, you familiar with it?
Yes, and actually the one that I really enjoy is from southern Thailand, and it's the last kratom forest here in Thailand. The government has gone through and eradicated a lot of that in the cannabis here in Thailand, thanks to the United States.
No problem, man. You're welcome. That's what we're here for.
Hey, I ain't taking credit for any of that. I didn't vote that in.
We have a red stem kratom plant here, a tree. And not only does it give you that narcotic feeling, it also gives you that little bit of energy rush, like doing a line of coke.
The red one, really? So the red one here is the most sedative.
The one that we have here in Thailand, the red stem that comes from southern Thailand, has a bit of an amphetamine effect, really. So more like a little bit of a speed rush.
Yeah, well, we sell 3 different colors according to their, what they do and how much pain relief and if it's energy or sedative. And the red is sedative for us. The green is a neutral, and the white is the more speedy one. Is how the company breaks it down on a chart for the customers and for us. So that's cool to know that there's a different thing out there that would be speedy red.
Yeah, and this is just the stem of the leaf itself is red, not the leaf.
Right. Which is how they're named, I believe, is from the color of those stems and the area that they're grown. I'm not familiar with the details of it, unfortunately.
Kratom is grown all over Asia here. And that was another thing that Thailand did when they went with medical cannabis, is they gave the kratom back to the people. It's really, I go to the hospital here and it costs me 6,000 baht. And I will admit, I'm still on painkillers, but you also have to remember a year ago, Valentine's Day, I was hit by a drunk driver on my Honda big bike here at about 35 kilometers an hour. So I ended up tearing up everything in my left knee and had to have that totally reconstructed here in Thailand. So which ended up costing me like $12,000 US.
Right. Yeah. And so at that point, is it more? That's more of like an opiate maintenance, right? Like to be able to get that pain and then to be able to keep the dosage, because long-term opiate use and stuff like that, it comes with that. And now, did you find that you can use the kratom instead of the pain pills altogether, or do you have to use the kratom in conjunction with the pain pills?
To tell you the truth, I kind of stay away from the kratom. For me, up here in the north, finding a reliable source for fresh leaves is a little bit tough. Besides that, it tastes like shit. But
I'm the same way. I've never been much on that kratom at all.
And with my accident, I have severe nerve damage and spinal injuries. And I need something that, like in Western medicine, there's 6 medicines that actually work for nerve pain. And if I don't have those, then just let me have my cannabis. And by the way, what's everybody smoking on? You said that was Prophet. You got that plant there. It's lime.
It's Canico.
That's one of the
I'm sorry.
that I'll be bringing back from Thailand here. We have lemons, limes, mangoes, all your berry fruits. I basically think that a majority of the cannabis terpene family is from Asia. So everything is here in these high strains. It's just a pheno hunt, and they're 120 to 150 days. And you've got an auto flower there that's probably what, start to finish in 60, 70 days.
Yeah.
The guy that made it is right under you. That's hypothetical Gardner. He's in the panel right now. You can ask him everything you want about it.
Hello, sir.
But yes, to that point, yes, it's about a
Yeah,
70,
the,
75, something like that.
One that he's cutting down now is, yeah, it's 70, 80 days. I generally run mine for 84. And so that's what I tell everybody is just, if you plan for 12 weeks, you'll be happy. You might cut it down a week or two early, but I just generally say 84 days. And especially the Canning Co. I mean, it has potential to finish at 70. Yeah, I just don't personally chop it that early. I like that later feeling.
I dropped mine for the last 2 days in darkness and like 50-degree freaking air conditioning. So I'm not waiting any longer. I need weed. I can take it. Fuck it.
It is awful nice
I bet
getting
she
some of
stinks so
these,
good.
you know, flavors and strains like you were saying, you know, that's in half the time that it would take, you know, to grow some of these, you know, landrace or you know, pure Asian strains out there like that.
Sure. And, you know, that's one of the things that a lot of people here in Thailand look at, because it's minimal effort for them. And for the Thai people, that's perfect. You know, too much effort is too much work. We don't like doing that. But, you know, living here in northern Thailand, I actually don't get any rain basically from October 1st until April 1st. It rained a total of 4 times in between that, and April 1st was the 4th time it rained. So I have all that time period basically starting in the beginning of September that I can put plants outside and flower. So if I use a good Afghani that's a 58, 60-day plant, I can basically get in 3 harvests here in northern Thailand because of the time that it is. You know, I was out today and we're right at almost some of the longest time period of the year for us. And you go outside and it's supposed to be dark. You know, sunset was 2 hours ago, but you still have a twilight. So, you know, during that rainy season we have here, you have to, if you want anything to flower outside, you have to light that bit, even though we're only at 13 and a half hours of light a day.
And
Every grower in Canada just got like cried a little bit when you said you can get like 3 harvests season done, because we're like, we can't even get 1 guaranteed, at least in this area, right? Because it just gets too cold. You can frost up anytime starting in September, but typically closer to October. So that's why you hear guys like Rick and I, we go on about autoflowers and how we want to see what they can do out here.
he'd be asking what's your latitude over there? Want to know how you get.
I believe I'm about 17 or 18 here in northern Thailand.
Yeah.
And I did pick the north because during that time it does get colder, and I like to see what colors come out of my cannabis plants.
What's considered cold up there or out there?
During December, which is our coldest month, December and January, night times it drops into the mid to low 40s. But during the day, we're in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I'm in South Florida, so we're similar. Same thing.
We're
December,
really
January.
similar.
Yeah. I'm on 25 latitude, you know, so definitely. And the same thing, our season's over now. Our season don't start till September. You put shit in the ground because the rain now is just so much of it, and humidity, anything's gonna mold up on you. The good thing now is with this hemp that's allowed here to grow is that these guys are doing flowers in the dry season, and they're just doing for textiles and such during the rainy season, because they don't care if it molds up or not. It's just gonna get processed into textiles. Nobody's gonna consume it, you know. Hey, Rick, welcome back. We were just talking about latitude. He's on 118.
Who is?
Captain, our guest here.
You
Oh,
kidding?
hey.
I figured the motherfucker heard people talking about latitudes and where you at, and all of a sudden he came out of the fucking shadows.
It was like a genie in a bottle, wasn't it?
Good morning, Captain 20. Hey, a pleasure to meet you. I got well, I think it's a funny story, but okay, good. We straightened up that little bit of information. 18. I was watching, excuse me, who was I watching last night? Yesterday afternoon, Chad Westport, and he had Dr. Faust on, and he was talking about, they really went deep into chelation and fulvic acid and how you can, and then they went on to talk about CBD and how you can actually control the CBD by treating it with the right proportion of fulvic acid. I could be way off on this one, but he was saying that I guess I'm assuming he lives in Hawaii, and he said that CBD or sativa or CBD plants are almost impossible to grow within the 15th latitude from the equator because they develop just too much THC. And if there's a maximum allowable 3% or whatever it is THC, it's just about impossible for those plants to grow down there. But that's a bit of a side story. I want to welcome you, and I also want to say that I've been following Robert on chat, and I understand that he is also from Taiwan or from Thailand. And I thought, God damn it, I want to try to get Captain 420 and Robert together to meet each other. I'm sure they'll have a great time. Until I found out yesterday they're both one and the fucking same.
Well, that there's my laptop going out on me and using my personal phone. You get to see me in chat as who I am, but I had Lakewood police following me for a year and a half because they wanted to make sure they had a case against me because, I was growing above the normal chapter, and that's where they were going to be doing their raid. So they watched me for over a year and a half and spent $450,000 on a bunch of leaves and shit. So my name has already been out there. I just haven't been out in any forums or anything since basically 2004 and overgrow.
Yeah. So
I'm from the old school. We hide and grow.
Guerrilla growing. I love it.
I was all about that, man. When they said we could go ahead and be legal, I sure jumped out of that fucking hidden closet like nobody's business.
Yeah,
it was good to come out and talk about it. There's something about it when you sit back and just have to hide it for so long. It really does fuck with your whole perception of it.
Yeah, no shit. How long have I been legal medically? I've been legal probably 12 to 14 years, but I moved to this home about 15 years ago. And what is the? I paid my dues for my so-called crimes enough over the years. I'm just wondering what is that terminology? The time where after you commit a crime they can't convict you. One of those things, anyway. But
probation.
Statute of limitations, Rick.
Probation. Statute
thank you very much, Drizzt. That was the word. So, what would happen? I live on a hill, and every time I would come home, I always would, as I come up the hill, I'd always visualize, the cops all over my property until I could see the house, see the driveway, and then I'd take a sigh of relief. Or coming out of my garden, same thing. My heart just had to skip a beat every time. And yeah, what a sense of relief. I tell you, I slept good after that. But and forgive me for being late, but
Tell you what, I can't wait till I ain't got to worry about them damn helicopters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Although here it's fighting forest fires, so if I started worrying about every helicopter now, I go cuckoo. We're probably getting over 20 a day coming in for water, those buckets of water.
I mean, you're not, Rick. I mean, that's how they get you. You know, they started that fire on purpose so that they could fly all those helicopters over you.
Over your
so
shit.
You wouldn't be scared about it. See, they're getting you complacent, buddy.
Hey, you say
True.
that
That's
joking
true,
around,
but I'm legal now. I'm legal
when
now.
they find people, when they find the houses down here, the cops don't have the authority to break in, so they'll call in a fire, and then they follow the fire rescue inside the house. They're like, oh, look what we found.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's all kinds of ridiculous tricks that they play. So
hold on a second, Rick. I just wanted to say, because Capt 420 has no access to the chat. You are getting a lot of love in the chat. I can't even ramble off how many people are in there, but I explained to them you don't have access to it. So everybody in chat is shouting you out, man.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to everybody out there in chat. Like I kind of preluded to, I don't have a laptop, so I don't have access to chat, which I try to be in when I'm on shows. And thanks for everybody for showing up this evening. I hope Nico's out there from France, maybe Magnus Speeds from Spain. Hopefully, maybe we can get Tao to jump in here and join in on chat, and some people from Michigan.
Nico is in here.
Oh, nice to meet you. Thanks, Nico.
I just seen his name, so that's why I was like, yeah, all right, he's in here.
But yeah, you know, that was one of the things that I got to be really good at for working with normal is I would go around and set up grow rooms that were undetectable. There was a little thing called roofer's lead, and if you lined your room in roofer's lead, thermal imaging didn't work. But it was nice in the early 2000s, I think, when they finally made that a statute where they couldn't use thermal imaging anymore as a way to get access to your house. So yeah, there was a lot of times the apartments are leaking with water, so we need to go in just to bust somebody. Or yeah, there's a fire, so we're gonna follow those in. And the cops used that. And in the 90s, they destroyed us. They destroyed us. They bent every fucking constitutional right that we had.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Well,
different.
that's always
no
what they were
different
good
in
about.
Canada.
Now, how is it in Thailand now? How are the police down there? Are they still do they kind of slither around? Is it like what the media depicts?
Well, right now, Thailand hasn't had really any tourism, and tourism is what feeds everything. And this is a developing country. Okay, so we do have VPN on. Okay, I live in Thailand. I can't talk about certain things.
Okay.
Okay,
Heard loud and clear.
They will come and pick me up and take me away. Ha ha. Hee hee.
Heard loud and clear.
No. But yeah, it depends on who you get. If you're caught smoking a joint, like I had mentioned earlier, flower is illegal here in Thailand still. So smoking a joint can get you a fine up to 5,000 baht, 10,000 baht if you're Thai. If you're an American, it can go up to 25, 50,000 baht, depending on where you're at and how you're dressed. Do you
What's
have
that conversion?
money?
How does that
You're
convert?
looking at about 30 baht per American dollar. So 30,000 baht is $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
If not, for a couple of joints, you could disappear for 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like how it is up here. There's no like actual, they have like a sentence they can go by in a book, but it's to that person's discretion of what they want to do and how they want to proceed about it, you know? So until there's any type of accountability for that person's actions, you know what I mean? They're going to be able to kind of meander on how they
So if it's at the beginning of the month and the guy has a car payment to make and a house payment to make, you know, that's going to be your fine. And you're not going to go to court. You're going to pay it right there because you don't want to go to jail here. You don't want to go through the court system.
Well, I'm glad
because that's where you just disappear.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you always hear stories of that. I'm super glad that you're coming back out this way, man. You seem like an amazing person in this community, and hopefully I'll be able to get out that way right around the corner from me and be able to get up and have a good session, hear some awesome stories from you one day, man.
Well, hopefully some people will be coming to visit me when I'm there in Michigan. I've got an idea for Michigan and Michigan Caregivers. I've talked extensively with Matthew Abel there in Detroit, who's a wonderful cannabis lawyer and longtime NORML president of Michigan NORML there. And you know, I think I've been in this game long enough, and I see how to play it. And I think I've got an idea on how to help out the caregivers. And, you know, there's back in the 90s and early 2000s, yeah, we did make a lot of money. We did make a lot of money, but we don't have that money. Basically from times of getting busted and the fact that we give a lot, and I give a lot back to patients, especially in CBD plants. If someone asked for them, they were readily available. But what we need to do is there's a big problem in Michigan, and that's with the caregivers and them doing it out of the basement of their homes. Michigan sees this as a possible fire threat because you have 5,000-10,000 watts going in your basement of HDI lights. So there's the idea of possibly having places where caregivers can get together. And there's a bunch of buildings in Detroit that are 5, 6, 8 stories tall, and they can be broken up into 4 sections, and you can get 4 different caregivers per floor in there. You know, it's about bringing the caregivers together and giving them a safe environment to grow in. Someplace where they're not going to burn down their house and possibly their family.
I love the idea of that, and I've thought about opening up like something like that for people who don't have the ability to grow. You know, just say like in cities and stuff where you know you have to like sign contracts that you can't grow in like your apartment or something. So I've thought about myself setting up something like this, you know, to where people could just have their own controlled indoor, you know, grow that is basically a rented space. And the thing I just keep coming back to is you're going to have people have problems with their grow and blaming it on other people. And it's just going to start a bunch of shit.
I just blame you, Fluff. It's way easier.
But there's ways. That's a great idea, by the way. Captain 420 and dude, I'd love to get involved in something like that. But there's definitely ways to control all that. Like a landlord, you have access. Your tenant only has access to those rooms, like an apartment building. You know, it's not, you can't just walk into your neighbor's apartment and shit and tamper with their stuff. So I'd assume, you know, dude, this is an idea he just threw up in the air. We're 30 seconds fresh into this shit, you know. So there's definitely that's an awesome idea. And there's definitely ways. It'd be like a community indoor garden, and I love it. Yeah, definitely. And hell,
So
you can
is this a
gardening, you know, veggies and stuff while you're there on the land if it allows it, you know.
As long as you have the right pressure in the building, you don't have to worry about anything. And, you know, the bugs aren't going to leave the room. And basically what we're looking at is 4 rooms per floor. So you're just breaking it up into quarters, and everybody comes from a common point in the center, and basically you can only walk 6 or 8 feet because you have 4 different doors, and that's all it is.
No, I think it's great. I think the wealth of information shared between the growers inside that building, it's almost going to be like putting everybody in unison. You know, the guys that are failing are going to learn real quick, and if they don't learn, the guys that are good are going to let them know. You know, it's like a group of guys in a barber shop. You got that one shitty barber. They're going to be like, listen, buddy, you know, you're going to tighten up or somebody else is going to take your chair.
So I think
Now,
it's
this also ties into the micro business license that I'm going to be applying for. And I really don't see me flowering out a lot of plants. And I see myself producing a lot of clones.
That's where it's at. I want to sell the picks and shovels. I don't want to freaking dig the gold.
I want to be your nursery.
Yeah, no,
I want to be a special nursery. I like connoisseur quality cannabis. And I think the spice of life is what it should be. And if you don't have a head stash of 20 to 30 different kinds, then you're not a connoisseur.
Yeah. That's funny you said that, because in Florida and a lot of states, you have to buy for the hemp here, you have to buy from a licensed nursery that the plant's been authorized through the University of Florida out here, agriculture department. So being a nursery out here is something you have to apply for, regardless if it's hemp or not, if you're dealing in nursery plants. But being a hemp nursery, I think, is where it's at. Because if these guys can't outsource their seeds or clones from anywhere else but a licensed nursery in Florida, and there's only a handful of them, and then you have these connoisseur strains of flower CBD or high yielding oil CBD, then you're going to be the man. You know, and now this autoflower shit's taken over. And in South Florida, I can't imagine what you could do with autoflowers. Hell, how many harvests I can't even do the math. I have to figure it out. It's got 3, 4, 5 harvests at least.
Well, that's why I have a 20-acre CBD permit, and that's what it was going to be. It was going to be a CBD nursery, basically.
Over there?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But I think I'm going to bring the nursery idea back to Michigan. And you know what? I'm not going to go after I'll go after a recreational permit also, but I'm going after my medical permit to grow. Because now Illinois has done away with my felony, so I can come back, and I get a discount on that micro business in Michigan, by the way, of 25% for my felony and 10% for a possession charge. And because I've been a Michigan resident for more than 3 years, I get another 25%. I'm at 55% off my fees. So this is the only time that a felony or possession charge for cannabis is actually paying off. So I think I'm going to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Crime does pay.
Yeah, it already cost you. It already cost you enough, man. Shit, might as well freaking reap those damn rewards and shit.
I just wish I got that discount off like the electric bill because I'm still an HBS guy. I've seen HBS side by side on LEDs. I just seen it recently. I think there was some guy down in Florida that I was watching a show, and he showed the same clone taken at the same time with the same techniques. And you could see a really big difference. And this guy's got money, so he's got the right LED systems going, but just the metal halide outproduced those completely in veg. The fan leaves were bigger, everything was just so much stronger.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
But what about in flower?
I think the same.
Have you tried CMH yet?
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback here from somebody out there.
Was wondering if
Yeah,
you tried CMH yet.
No. The last time I grew in Michigan was 2016. I shut off the light. And the house was sold, so. But no, I haven't gotten a chance to use those yet. I can buy them out of China for like $105, dimmable ones.
What do you think about those LEDs during flower?
I haven't used any LEDs in flower yet. And, you know, I welcome, okay. I also set up gardens for patients and caregivers. And a lot of times it's out of my own pocket because it's for my benefit. Because like I say, I do clones. And in Michigan, anything underneath 8 inches is not considered a plant. So if I have a 12 count plant count and they're all in veg, then you're looking at 20 to 30 clones every 2 to 3 weeks is the way I look at it. But, you know, I set up these gardens for a lot of people and I do it out of my own pocket, and I'll actually be recording some of them. And, you know, this is how to do a cheap grow. It's the old school way of doing a grow today. A lot of people are using tents. Why are you using tents when you just use the whole room? I come over to Thailand and they're all using these little 2x2, 3x3 tents, and they've got like 3 or 4 or 5 of them in these big rooms. And I'm like, you know, I can almost fit 3 1000s in here in your room. And you're having heat problems and pest problems and powder mildew problems. Not really powder mildew problems because the heat, but you know, we do have a bunch of humidity here and they're dealing with bud rot. And it's like, get rid of the tents and just use the whole room. You have your air conditioner in the room, it's a split. So just use that. It's much easier to control. I believe it's much easier to control one main room than a bunch of little tents.
I agree with you.
Because then you're not dealing with all those little different areas. And
the purpose of a couple little tents in a room if they're all doing the same shit anyways.
Yeah, exactly. If they're all in flower, but if you have some veg and some flower, well, then you need a divider in the room or separate tents or what have you.
A piece of plastic.
Build a wall.
You could corner off a section and veg a freaking shelf full of shit that'll fill up that whole room, you know, in a corner.
That's what I did. I have
you start talking about building walls to separate out the room.
Dude, I got a piece of plastic.
Now you just bought a cheap tent. It's the same thing.
Now
not true, because I used all I did was use black plastic and fucking run it halfway through my room. That side's my flower room. This side's my veg room. And I got an open air room.
And if you want something that is more stable. And I know plywood is outrageous in the United States right now.
It's on the decline.
There's that insulation that they sell in the 4x8 sheets. You know, those make great walls.
It's
I've made them a lot of times, and they have silver on the sides.
one side's reflective. It's called R type or R something. It's anti-mildew, and the insects don't like it and all that shit. They sell it. It's much cheaper than plywood nowadays. Shit. But the stock price of lumber has gone down. It just hasn't reflected retail yet, and it's dropped dramatically. Once the big retailers start purchasing at these newer prices, it'll start reflecting. I think by the end of the year, because right now that shit's shit, dude. Everybody became a welder. Overnight, everybody was like, stop working with wood and start picking up metal and shit.
Yeah, but then the problem was the metal went up right along with it. So,
Everything, dude. Everything's gone up.
And this old stoner looks at the insulation and says that'll work just fine.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've instead of like buying tents, you know, that roll of like the silver wrapped, like it looks like bubble wrap. It's right by that same insulation. Right, I make tents out of that with fucking PVC. You know, it works great, and you make them for like $50.
Can't beat that.
So, Captain, the concept that you're talking about, this like communal grow area, like is that concept legal now, or would you have to apply
Yes.
for a special? It is legal. Yeah. Well,
Anybody, if someone had a building and decided to do that idea and had nothing to do with cannabis, they could start running that out today in Michigan to caregivers.
wow. Well, yeah, that just makes so much sense.
And there's
You
no
could use-
special license for it.
Yeah.
And this is something that the state actually wants. So, you know, it's something that they're going to push. So it's just another way that, you know, somebody that doesn't have multi-millions of dollars can get into the cannabis business and get into the medical and the helping side if they wanted.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah. Your rent. Yeah, but it'll cost you your rent, but it's not going to cost you the cost of the building, and especially right now when you can't finance any. The banks won't look at you for any of these investments because it's still illegal federally. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Hey, we got a question real quick, Captain, from Lobster Bush. He says that you kind of specialize in clones. Would you be possibly willing to talk about your process about that?
I'm sorry, what was that about clones? I didn't hear right before that.
Your cloning process. Would you be willing to talk about how you set up your clones?
My cloning process, and you know, I'm gonna say this, and I've noticed a lot of people are like, really? When I make a second cut, I'll walk up to a plant and I'll pull it back, and it'll tell me which ones to cut. And my clones are usually when they're in a rock wool cube, because I like using the round rock wool plugs with the slits in them. You know, I'll take my cut, and then I'll take it and I'll cut it again in a solution with a little bit of a cloning solution and water, and I'll make a second cut, and I'll make it about a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch up, depending on how many clones I have in my hand at a time. I don't cut on a 45-degree angle or anything like that. I just put it underneath there and cut. But I do cut underneath water. And when you make that second cut underneath water, when you break that stem, and that cut, that water goes up the stem instead of air. And I found that to be really helpful.
That's actually pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah, very important.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, what is that scientific term for water? That is it not osmosis?
HGO.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Osmosis absorbed.
Yeah, you realize that, like, say if you cut a clone from the top and it has lots of moisture in it, you just see the moisture like oozing out of that cut. So obviously there's that or that pressure that's and the other way, just like you said, if you cut a clone, the air wants to desperately go up that hole. So yeah, that's a really good tip. Now, a couple of other things on cloning. One, why would, like, I always thought the cutting on
Uncle Rick, let me finish getting that clone into the rock wool plug for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I take that cutting underneath the water, and that allows the water to go up the stem. And then from there, I go into some sort of cloning agent, whether it be Clonex, whether it be aloe, or just putting it straight in if I don't have anything. There's sometimes when you run out of stuff to use in the house and you have to still keep making clones, because if not, the clones are going to die, and you don't want the plants to die because you're looking at each one as a $10, $20 bill. And you still have to eat, right? So I take it, I put it in the Clonex, and then, like I say, I love using the round rock wool plugs. They're nice and easy to open up. You just take it and you're able to slide the whole part of the stem as much as you want in there. And I usually end up leaving between 4 and 6 inches above that as my clones, and usually leaving 2 to 3 inner nodes. And once I get in that cube, I know if it has 3 or 4 inner nodes to it, because I do take the larger clones, you're going to want to cut off some of those bigger fan leaves. You may not want to cut the whole leaf off, cut the tips off of it, get it to fit into the space that you have underneath your humidity dome. Because you are going to have to put these in humidity domes. Here in Thailand, I don't have to worry about that. Basically, I live in a humidity dome.
What temperature and humidity do you like to shoot for in the dome?
In the dome, I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay. Back here when you're doing
when
this
I'm
in Michigan.
when I'm in Michigan, all my clones, because I do everything in a basement, everything is on pallets. If I want to slow something back to basically during the winter time in Michigan, and say I don't want to root something, I'll just throw it on the floor. And like I said, I use 1,000-watt metal halides. So I've got 1,000-watt that's 6 feet above the clone domes. And that's the way I do it. And I put them on pallets.
Right on. Yeah. I had a question.
5 to 10 days and they're rooted.
Cool. Excellent.
But living in Michigan was nice though. And there was times, I learned that early on, you leave a flat of clones on the floor in a cold climate, and you look at them and you say, damn, I haven't looked at that set of clones over there for a month. And you go over there and you pull them out, and there's no type of roots on them, but they look like you just took them yesterday. That's what's great.
Yeah.
I think I think there's a lot to learn, and you know, once we're able to actually have nurseries, we can take a lot from the commercial side of the nursery business and bring it into the cannabis. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day I can see tissue culture being just a way of life for the commercial operations, especially. But I've just had a question about you said you do not cut your clone on a 45-degree angle. I was of the bro science that the reason for cutting it on that angle is so that you have more surface opportunity for a root to come out. Uh, uh, but you said you prefer not to cut it on a 45, and I just wondered why.
what I just don't care at what angle I cut it at. To me, it doesn't matter because you're growing roots out of the side of a stem anyways. When I take my seedlings and the seedling starts to grow, I have them farther down in a cup. And I just fill that cup up with dirt, and that stem produces roots later on.
Yeah.
So you're getting your roots out of the side of the stem. What are you looking at? A little surface area that big when you're looking at an inch of clone in your medium that's going to produce roots. If anything, if you have a woodier stalked plant, I would suggest slightly taking a razor blade or your knife or your pair of scissors, whatever you have, and stripping the outside of that clone down that you're going to be putting in your medium. This will help with those ones that are a little bit more woodier and take a little bit longer time. A lot of times they take 10 to 14 days to clone. So, you know, if you don't have roots in 4, 5, 6 days, don't worry about it. Some plants take a long time to root. I had one plant in particular that the fastest I could get it was 12 to 14 days.
Yeah.
And doing a bunch of clones, you don't have to be exact with temperatures all the time. As long as my gardens didn't get above about 80 degrees, I was happy. Now, if I'm flowering, I want to be around 72. And at night, I want to be dipping down to 64 because, like I say, I like to see colors.
Right on.
For people out there using CO2 in a room, if your plants are running at 1,200 parts per million, so should your CO2. It shouldn't go above that, I don't think. As many studies as I've read and as many people that I consider very well educated and the people that I look up to, over 1,200, unless you're using a hydro system and you're pumping 1,600-1,800 parts per million under HPS, you don't need CO2 at 1,600 parts per million.
You don't need any, or you don't need. Yeah, okay, I get it. Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah. So what you're saying is, whatever parts per million of nutrient you're feeding your plants, you should be giving the same parts per million of CO2 to your plant.
Well, I'm just saying you don't basically, if you go above 1,200, you're wasting CO2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not cost effective for you to run CO2 above 1,200 parts per million.
And what about in, say, the last 2 weeks?
I cut out my CO2 at 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're just going to extend your flowering time. You can extend your flowering time up to a full week to 10 days with CO2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I go into the flowering, I usually I usually like to take my magnifying glass, which is a couple dollar jewelry loop out of the local flea market. And when I can see 1 to 2 out of every 10 trichlomes have a nice swelling of amber in the head, then I will take it. And like what Prophet did, I'm a big believer of the 48 hours of darkness, because I work a lot with Afghanis and Indicas that have white trichlomes, and they just really explode to me. So I'll put it in darkness, and then I'll end up bucking it down and taking off all the big fan leaves and hanging it up to dry, and then trimming dry. I like to let it drop, and when it drops, I have a big plastic container with a piece of silk screen over the top of it. So I collect all my keef that way too. And then all the trim and the smaller buds go into making RSO now today for
Excellent.
patients.
Excellent. I'm just getting into that myself. I've got a source extractor on order, and yeah, I'm excited about it.
I'd be careful saying you're doing things like me, man. You might lose some credibility.
Speaking of doing things like you, and it was further on what you were we were talking about, Captain. Some things, well, basically, I'm talking about like automated machines for cutting your trim, and it's just something that I don't know if you want pure excellent quality, you got to hand trim, just like Prophet's doing now. I don't know if there's
well, the whole thing is if you really look at it, because I get to see the Ohio side and I get to see the Michigan side, because I am from Ohio, but I did live in Michigan for quite a few years before moving here to Thailand. And most of my friends are medical patients, both in Ohio and Michigan, and have been for the past 25 years, ever since I found cannabis again. But outside of that, I have dead family. And, but I get to see the side of it, and I get to see the medical side from Michigan, which is unbelievably cheap. You want to talk about people that really take care of other medical patients, it's Michigan. You know, you're talking $200, $250 ounces, and that was 5 years ago for medical patients. And then you get a state like Ohio, and I would have never accepted that. And I wish they would have taken what I wrote in '98 and actually used that, because it would have gave Ohio Medical the right to grow 14 plants. And it would have all been paid for by basically the license fees by the state. So they could have opened up exactly like California did and had 5,000 or 6,000 dispensaries, and that would have dropped the prices. But Ohio you have to buy it by 2.83. It's a tenth of an ounce. And they're charging between $40 and $65 for that tenth of an ounce. And their quality is crap. And so I still see a big black market side in Ohio, especially for medical. because the black market is basically cheaper than going to the dispensary, and traveling to Michigan is even cheaper. So why not go out and pay some stoners that don't have a job, but they decided, you know what? We all like to smoke pot. We all like to talk about pot. We all like to see a lot of pot. So why don't we open up a business of trimming? I'll hire those guys because they're going to take care of my bud, and I'm going to be getting top dollar for it no matter which way it goes.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, I like the thought of being able to support people like that. You know, because for sure, right, get the right people in the job, the people who care about this flower, you know, this plant, the people who care about the patients and things, man. Get them in here. That's who I want.
When I walk into dispensaries and, you know, you start to ask whoever's at the counter about their flower, and you need somebody that's going to be able to tell you exactly, you know, even if you are carrying, you know, like 50 strains, you know, that bud tender is going to have to know at least 40 or 50 or 30 or 40 of those. I think.
You know, that's a great point that you bring up, because, you know, when Illinois finally went rec, and, you know, the medical went for a little while, and then we went rec. And then, you know, some of these dispensaries started doing the medical rec thing. You could definitely tell that the people who cared about the plant and the medical patients and everything, and even the companies that cared about the actual medical patient, they just fucking totally got bought out and checked out, because you couldn't find a good bud tender who knew shit. They couldn't tell you about anything. You know, the knowledge wasn't there anymore. They ran everybody who cared about like actually helping people totally out of the fucking game. Whereas, you know, you have like you say in Michigan, and they're just trying like hell to make sure that they can keep that there, so that the knowledge is there, and people who actually want to help people are fucking helping people.
And, you know, that's a great thing about Michigan too, is it's really cold in Michigan. So, you know, we get a chance to sample a lot of the cannabis because you just don't want to go out sometimes. So you just sit there at home and smoke. And like I said, Michigan, if you probably yell out, hey, I need help, there'll be 2 or 3 people over there to help you. And, you know, if you're buying an ounce, don't look at paying over $200. Definitely not over 250. But recreational, that's a different story. That shit gets taxed. And, you know, I need to get back to Michigan. We need to save the caregivers. Because without the caregivers, people like me who was living off of workers' comp, and I don't give a shit after being hurt for 15 years and getting a check for $794, $93 every fucking 2 weeks just doesn't cut it. Not when I was making that every week in 1994. So, you know, I can't afford to go to a dispensary and pay taxes and things like that. Or if there's not a dispensary or a local club like Michigan has, where I can acquire from other caregivers and their overages, or acquiring it through other caregivers. I can't afford to go out and buy cannabis. It's my medicine, but I also need to eat. I also need to have a roof over my head. I need to provide.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. You know, we don't really have a caregivers program here in Illinois, but it's the people who kind of take it upon ourselves to be somebody else's caregiver. And 90% of the time, I give it to people in need. You know, if they're that fucking far out and that far gone that they're looking to me for help, then they've checked out pretty much all their fucking options. So I'm gonna give you what you need if I can. And if it helps you, I don't even feel right about taking money for it. So fuck it. You know, it's fine. You know, and that's what I like about it.
Absolutely.
DJ Shorts from Michigan, and I made a small deal with him in 2014. I said, hey, if I fly out to California and come help you at the High Times Cup at your booth selling seeds, you know, can you help me out with some CBDs to bring back here to Michigan? And I said, you know, if I charge for them, I'll charge like $5. You know, the cost of my light, a little bit of the rock wool and costs, you know, and I'll give them away. And that's what I did. But that was 2014, and I was a little bit ahead of the game. Everybody wanted them, but no one wanted to grow them. And I had a hard time giving away Cannatonic, Harlequin, AC/DC. My AC/DC was the AC/DC that you would use in actually juicing the leaf. It wasn't for a flower production because I called it the weeping willow. It was a really thin stem branch plant that just branched everywhere. It looked like a weeping willow, though. It couldn't support itself, and the buds were all like thumb size. You couldn't get anything big off of them. But here in Chiang Rai is Jamie with his Cannatonic, since he brought that to California, and he has those genetics here 20 minutes away from me. But just like in the States, the only time I got to talk to him is when I was hired at the university and then fired because I wanted to go talk to him and just bullshit with him. So I was hired and fired at the university for a whole week. And, you know, basically it came down to what I was willing to do for the university for 6 months for this, before I got my CBD permit, was to teach classes, and I was going to do this for free. Well, this cut out the English schools money. So, of course, being a Westerner, I got fired.
So I'd like to take a moment and take care of a little bit of business. I first of all want to welcome all of our friends in chat. It's so cool just to see the same names every time, and it's really cool. This is a part of my life I really enjoy, and you know what? It's free. We just get together and share, and it's free. Some people give us a little more recognition through Patreon, and I want to just give a special thanks, but reminding chat, it's always great for you to take the opportunity to like, subscribe, comment. It helps our, whatever the hell we call those things, our algorithm. Thank you. And anyway, at this time, we've really been developing a list here of Patreon supporters. I just want to take a moment and run through them here. We got Crazy Pop Mom, Stony Rockefeller, Canada's Finest, Uncle Rick, Raider Dank Vader, Hypothetical Genetics, BC Stoner Mom, Dave's Not Here, Sticky Icky Cookie, Opie 7420, Papa Z, G-Bay Genetics, and Colton Bridge. Really appreciate it. And back to the show. Oh, we lost Captain there, but I was. Did before I came on, did anybody have an opportunity to ask him life in Thailand? Got to be cool. Got to be cool. The weather, the climate, the well, it's
Yes,
almost
he informed us about a bunch of that, and then informed us also that he has to be very careful about what he says about where he's at.
yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, so if this is Thailand, I guess we're not even gonna go there.
Oh
It's
shit! The hands up, hands up.
You gave me
It's
the
on the
coordinates at the
backside.
beginning of the show, man.
On the back side of the hand.
I think you might be at the elbow for this one, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Oh shoot.
But that's one thing I'd like to give a shout out to everybody out there in chat. When I'm in chat, I like to say hi to everybody. It's my way of connecting. And without your show here, Caribou Heart TV, and I don't do this often. You can see all the other podcasts I've been on with the help of Fumi and Eagle's Gardens over there in the wormhole. You know, you guys out in chat and doing these podcasts, it's not only allowing me to learn every show and have a great time and have a laugh and sit down and smoke with somebody else, because during COVID here in Thailand, life gets really hard, especially when the only time I talk and speak English is when I'm on podcasts. I leave my house and I speak English and they look at me like I'm speaking English and I'm in Thailand. Hey, idiot, we're Thai, speak Thai. So this is the only time that I get to feel normal. And, you know, it's really hard being over here because I also have a sick father back in Cleveland. You know, being stuck here with COVID, you guys in chat and with these podcasts and allowing me to come on and just even being in chat and the Michigan Grow Bros show. We didn't even shout them out. I'd like to shout out Sequence there and Skillbow and Spartan and Pawn, Painted Lady. You know, that
We actually have Painted Lady in chat right now talking with you.
You know, those people, when I talk about those people, it brings happiness and actually tears to my eyes because I'm 10,000 miles away. And in Michigan, we have like a huge medical community, and we get together and we talk and we socialize. And I really miss that because, like I said, I come from the time where we closed up and you didn't go out and you didn't talk to anybody about it. And if you did, it was once or twice or 3 times a year, and that was it.
Yeah. So you're coming back in the next month or so. Is this for a visit or to stay?
It's possibly to stay. There's that's what I talked about earlier, and that micro business of the 150 plants and getting a discount. You know, I'm all about that, and I'm all about not even flowering out of one of those plants. So you kind of know my intentions there.
You know, I wonder.
But going back to that, if I do want to sell to the public, I do have to have things scrubbed. So they do need to go through tissue culture. And that's one thing I'd like to do. And I was going to take the time with the Boston rally. There was a company outside of Boston that was doing tissue culturing on YouTube and things like that. And I'm not a person to learn off of YouTube as much as more hands-on and trying it and screwing it up 100 times first myself, and then learning how to do it the correct way that one time in one way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were talking about that in Chad's show too. The science versus trial, the school of trial and error, and yeah, that's where I felt I've come from. 35 years of trial and error. Fuck it up. Try to figure it out. Blah blah blah. Fuck. I've learned more since I've been a part of your group in the last 6 months than I picked up in 35 years. But anyway, that's another. God damn it! I thought I had an interesting question. Nah, it's gone.
But, you know, if I want to sell clones to the general public in the state of Michigan, yes, they all do have to be scrubbed. So they do need to be cleaned. And if I was supplying somebody that had a large facility, I would definitely want the plants to be that way, because there's no way in hell me being a small little company or a small little business, even though I could produce 3,000 clones for you, I can't take the $300 million hit it would cost me if I wiped out your facility because of having a pathogen in one of my clones or a disease that was easily transferred and destroyed your whole operation. I don't want to be reliable for that. That's for sure. And I have some stuff that I've been holding on to for 20 years that needs to be reworked because it's starting to lose weight now, I've been told. The Lemon G out of Ohio. I have the genetics for that.
I was hoping you would talk about this strain. This was going to be the one thing that I was going to ask about. So can we talk a little bit about Lemon G? This is even in my little hillbilly ass town where I'm from up here in BC, we've heard about this strain, but we've not actually seen it. So what can you tell us about this awesome strain?
The Lemon G that I have, I literally keep it in a jar on the shelf with its own bowl next to it because I'll beat your ass if you use my bowl to smoke it. You can smoke all you want of it. It's up there in its own little jar, its own little pipe right next to it. Break your heart. But to me, it's like going to grandma's house and being a kid and grabbing that can of lemon pledge and spraying it in your mouth. At least for me, that's what I get. There's that wax coating over your teeth almost. And it's like, man, lemon pledge. I can't stand it, but it's a wonderful plant. There's mixed reviews on exactly what it was, even if there was any G13 in it. Supposedly it was crossed with G13. I think it's just a skunk pheno, in my honest opinion. And if they did cross G13 into it, then I don't see that because I get huge buds off of it. I mean, we're talking baseball size bat buds. But someone did let out some seeds in Michigan that were made from using a purple quercle male, because we had to back up a facility and the quercle was used and they wanted to add purple, and this was like 2014. So for the Midwest, purple, yeah, it sells. And that's what they were going after. And they only made F1s, and the F1s were let out, and some of the Michigan grows have gotten some of them. And I think they got some of the phenos. There's 8 different phenos in there. And when I get back to Michigan, that's going to be number one that I do is take that quercle that I have, that purple plant, and cross it back into that and make F2s. And I think we're gonna let those go. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind sending some out to you there, Caribou, because I think you've got a couple strains I wouldn't mind trying.
I was supposed to get them out this last week. Anybody that pays attention to this now knows that I am horrible for getting seeds out. Like it takes me about 3 months, it seems, at a minimum. But I'm hoping, I started putting the packages together last weekend, and I got like 2/3 of them done. I got like 3-4 more I got to put together, and one of those is meant to be going to you. And I'll get a hold of you in DM and get the address on that, because I just to even like to have them grow, to see myself growing in Michigan is cool, and it'll happen. There's already a few of my beans that way, but the thought of like seeing your stuff potentially over in like Thailand, that's just like that's a really cool thought to me. And plus, why would I want to just give out beans to everybody if I can? It's that feels good too.
And I have a feeling that being on the podcast, and Potent Ponics kind of asked about here in Thailand. And yes, there are a few little clips on cannabis here in Thailand, but your most experienced grower only has maybe 5 or 6 years of growing. And they have no knowledge, and they're thirsty for it. And there may end up being a podcast that will be done in English and subtitled in Thai. The businesses will be here in Thai. It will also have Thai farmers, but maybe coming back and coming out and visiting some of the regenerative farms there in the United States, and also the regenerative indoor grows that are going on in the United States, to also show the Thai people, hey, in the United States, they deal with all these different climate issues, so they grow indoors, and this is how they do it. And they deal with all these climate issues in the United States, and this is how they grow regenerative outdoors. Take a look at it. Take a look at it, Thailand, because you're perfect for it. In the United States, if Thailand wanted to grow if they wanted to grow cookies, they'd be screwed because they all harm on them. But if they wanted to and produce cannabis as a product, all these equilateral countries down here, Canada couldn't compete against them. You can't compete against the cannabis that could be produced out of here, whether it be concentrate, rosin, whatever, because there's very little cost and overhead.
Well, how much does the sun cost to fucking power a room, or the equivalent of a room, right? Not much at all. Like I said earlier, well, after I mentioned earlier when you said you potentially like 3 harvests in a season, like, man, that's the cat's ass right there. Like, I wish.
Yeah, and people like Hawaii Sustainable, we talked about it, and it's like, what's the cost of a $30 solar LED? That keeps my plants and veg for me. So, and it's like, I asked him the stupid question the other day because I want to come and visit him, and it was like, when's your harvest time? And he laughed and he says, dude, come on. It's continuous. It never stops. So how can you compete against that? Especially Michigan and the colder weather states where I'm from, and you guys up in Canada. How can we compete against that commercially? You can't. And if they wanted to start doing CBDs like they are doing here and Coca-Cola is doing, Thailand, of Coca-Cola does have a CBD farm here in Thailand. So it's that far. So yeah, you can't compete for distillate here in Thailand. These countries down here will just crush the United States.
Now, did they
But-
have like their own like with the medicinal? It was pretty ingrained into the culture early on in Thailand, right? Using cannabis medicinally.
Well, I believe there's 16 Thai traditional medicines that are made with cannabis.
Mm-hmm. So, are they
So
trying to
it's
refer
something-
back to anything like that in the consuming aspects, or is it like you said, flower? You can't have flower down there, right?
The cannabis business here in Thailand is such a joke, it ain't even funny.
Yeah. That's how
The
some of the
only-
states are here. Like in Alabama, you can have capsules, suppositories, or like a salve. And that's it.
They're literally washing and selling the fan leaves to put on meals here. And like I said, everything has to be done through a concentrate. The bottles of concentrate, we would look at that and say, okay, so you're saying that I need to take 5 bottles at one time because of the dosage of milligrams being so small. And they're thinking that one vial is to last you X amount of days. And there's just no education here. That's the biggest problem, is there's no education. They've rushed into this. It was a great idea for the government to give it to the Thai people, and I praise them on that. And if you want to grow CBDs, it all gets sold to the government. The government handles everything. And it handles through 3 other people's hands, so those 3 people make money in the government. But as far as anything else, there's no real type of movement like we have in the United States. Because of the plain fact of it is, you know, being here in Thailand, you just don't go out and protest every day. Because if not, a lot of people would disappear every day.
Yeah, that's
But,
sad truth of the fact, you know, that just because of a plant, you know. And the big thing is we're all fighting for legalization and stuff, which is kind of silly. And to begin with, is we should just be fighting for a key regulation of it. You know, it's a plant. We should be able to have access to it and be able to give safe access. And I love your idea of giving people safe access to grow areas. That's why home growing isn't that big in the city of Chicago. You know what I mean? A lot of people are worried about neighbors and stuff like that, neighborhoods. And, you know, so if people had more of a safe access to it, you know, I think it'd be a lot more accessible. I love that idea.
No, you're
And
not.
that way also you can go home and, you know, when you're a home grower, you can't leave and go on vacation because especially in Chicago or some of the cities in Michigan, you don't leave your house and go on vacation. Why? Because it gives people a time to break into your house. So if someone could provide a safe environment for a caregiver to grow and he doesn't have to worry about living in Chicago or like New York City or Flint, Michigan or Detroit, Michigan, you know, any place that's got a lot of crime, you have a place to grow and it's a safe, secure facility. It's guarded 24 hours a day. You don't have to worry about it burning down your house and ruining the rest of your family life and interrupting that. You don't have to interrupt it by someone breaking in because they need money, so they're going to steal your cannabis. Oh, wow, you're in flowering. I'm just going to shoot you because I can't spend the time in jail. So yeah, it would be great for someone out there to go ahead and start doing that. Like I said, I was talking and basically if you have a building, you could start renting out to caregivers. As long as your municipality allowed that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's allowed in Canada. I thought though, and Caribou, maybe you may know a little bit about this, but up on Highway 97 north of 100 Mile, I thought that they were supposed to be building some type of facility, and I got the impression that it was going to be like mini, almost like looked like a mini storage, and people could go there with their license to grow for uh, recreational plants, and they
I
and then there
recall
was
what you're talking about, but I thought it was only going to be like, I thought it was meant for companies. And there's only like, I could be wrong on this, Rick. I didn't pay a lot of attention. I just remember, like my thoughts on it was, I thought it was something like 6 or a dozen companies or something like that, so that they could have their micro growers or whatever, for
okay.
product. And our mayor and a couple other people in city councils had their hands in that. And these are the same motherfuckers that denied us for having dispensaries in this town for the first almost 2 years of legalization, because they didn't have their fucking hands in it. Same people that won't allow restaurants to come to this town because it's competition with the people that sit on city council who already own like the A&W franchise in this town and other stuff. So that's fucking, I was so fucking glad when I got that, so heard that voted down. I would love a chance to go work at a micro grow op in this area. But when our politicians, our local politicians, are shooting the shit down when it benefits the town and tax dollars that the municipality could be taking in, and then only to vote in and actually go and try and push forward stuff when it's their palms getting greased, fuck you motherfuckers. That's my rant for the day. How's everybody doing?
Ooh, did I push a button?
Wonderful. Now, Captain, you were talking about if you.
But look, it's great. He froze just giving the finger. Like, how awesome is that?
Oh yeah, he did. Good
He's
eye.
just fucking like,
Yeah.
forever pissed off.
That could have been a
How much of that did you
screenshot.
guys actually get before it froze up? I didn't even realize it was
All
frozen.
of it.
Oh,
We got it
froze at
all,
the
and you
end.
froze at the finger, dude.
Perfect. It's just
You
like,
couldn't have planned that better.
well, because like I just like in theory, something like that would be awesome. If it was that where I could go rent out, say, 10 by 10 room or bigger, smaller, whatever, and I could be promised that I'll pay my rent, whatever, however that works out, and there's my place to grow, because I'm not able to grow here. It sucks. Like I was just talking to Fluffy yesterday about maybe getting like a 2x4 tent or a 2x5x2x5 tent and growing like freaking strawberries and shit in it, just so I can have something to grow, because I'm not allowed to grow cannabis here because we signed, or the girlfriend signed that as a stipulation of the tenancy, right? So yeah, fucking right, something like that would be amazing.
Well, how fucked up is it that we're all getting very excited about, being able to like maybe like set up a grow like this or do that, or take our fucking, our 4-plant rec limit fucking thing, when we should be able to just take these fuckers and grow them anywhere we want and fuck everybody. Like, it's a goddamn plant. Like this, it's we get so excited when something goes our way, when in reality there should be nothing stopping us from just fucking. I want to plant my whole goddamn backyard in these fucking things. I should be able to.
100% Fluff.
Yeah. And I would like to think that it is going to come. I mean, ultimately, that's our goal. But again, there was another topic I wanted to ask about, or when we were talking about the plant limit versus canopy. Like, give me a break. I mean, that's what it should be all about. Is who comes up with these numbers? 4 plants rec, 12 plants caregiver. Like who does this shit?
It's
And don't you
that
understand?
don't know
Either
much
you
about what they're talking about.
you can grow
now they do have people that they know what they're talking about. They're people that know how to maximize the money that they can get from the people doing it or trying to stop people. You know what I mean? It's the people that don't grow weed. You're absolutely right, Caribou. You know what I mean? But now these lobbyists, they're starting to get these people that are getting really smart on how to attack these new laws coming into play. Like all these new states are really excited about making new laws because of the way they're doing it. You know what I mean? So that's something we definitely got to be careful about moving forward. But I love what Fluffy was just saying. It's a fucking plant. Like, you know, that's
Cool.
that's what.
Hey guys, before we jump on any farther, I just throw a shout out to Lobster. We forgot to mention his name when we're doing the Patreon shout outs. Lobster, that's my bad, brother. I didn't convert or send a message to Uncle Rick. I'm a cunt. Sorry. I love you. Especially after that kick-ass song that he wrote us too. And I'm gonna fucking cunt him up like that. Eh? Sorry, Lobster.
Don't worry, Cabu. I got your back.
You know,
But
we
yeah,
love you,
thanks,
buddy.
Coffee, for bringing that up to our attention, because that.
Well, hey, look back there behind 40 acres right there, and it says it all.
Oh, that explains a lot. Okay. Oh, shoot.
Prophet,
Yeah.
you were going to ask me a question there.
Yeah, it's probably one we should just leave alone. It had nothing to do with cannabis. I don't want you to be stuck in it.
All
right.
I wanted to
The answer
ask.
is going to be yes. He does want your panties, Prophet.
Cool. All right. Never mind. You already asked it for me.
And there was, in fact, a Prophet's mom was here sighting in Thailand.
No, but I'm sure we can find a bathroom wall to put it on somewhere.
That would be amazing, dude.
That would be cool.
If they open up the bars again, fuck. We're at 2.5 months already of no music again. You guys were all locked up back there in the States, and I was sitting at the bar listening to live music going, yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm jealous. I've been saying it a lot lately. Like, I can't fucking wait for live music to come back, because now, and especially because it's mostly down in the States or in Europe where I'm seeing this stuff get booked, but there's some really good concerts coming up. Like, I just saw one with it's like fucking Knotfest this year. It's like Slipknot, Megadeth. I think they got like Trivia and Lamb of God. Like, fuck me, man. Another
That's
really
gonna be a good fucking show.
just about the same lineup, but without Slipknot on it. That was gonna be doing another one. Like, fuck me. But we're getting close.
No, we're not.
The Grateful Dead are playing on my birthday.
Oh,
That's
really?
gonna be like the 5th show the Dead ever played on my birthday for sure.
That'd be worth checking out for sure. Absolutely.
Are you going to be there?
Yes, I will.
Wow. Where is that going to be?
To tell you the truth, I haven't even really looked at it much past what I was sent about it.
Cool.
And that's all I needed to know. I was just sent some information that says you're going to be there, right? And
Count me in.
information on how to get there. And I never looked at the email again. And the only poster I've seen with all the Dead shows on it was from the Merry Pranksters. And they kind of have a way of like changing the names of cities and shit on their posters. And I can't even remember what name they put up there as the name of the city, but it's not like Cleveland, that's for sure. But yeah, I do want to plug one place in Michigan right before my birthday. And if there's anybody in Michigan that'd like to come out and support someone that does fight for Michigan Caregivers, come out and visit Buddy at Clio Cultivation there in Clio, Michigan. He has a wonderful store. Every August, he has an anniversary party, and his son's birthday is also at the end of August, right at the same time as he opened up his store. And he has live music. He has a medical tent with vendors in there. He doesn't charge anything for people to come out to the event. And you want to get out there on Friday, he gives out great deals and he gives a ton of shit away. I'm going out Friday early just so I can be in that raffle, because he ends up giving away $10,000 worth of shit. And you have seed companies coming there. The last time I was there, 420 Mendo was there, and I think they ended up passing out between 50 and 100 seed packs. So it's just a great time.
See, that's what
You
it's
know,
about.
there's no money involved. You come out and you have a bunch of vendors and you can buy your needs there, whether it be t-shirts, food, clones, flour, concentrate, medibles, everything.
That sounds
That's
like
what
a
it's
hell of a
about.
time to me.
Yeah, you got these people that are, you know, and it's strictly for the money. And I love that, like you said, just those where that's not even a thing. You know, it'll happen when it needs to happen, but it's not the focus of things. You know, and that's what it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be people helping each other, because that's what this plan is doing. It's helping us, you know, or at least it helped me, you know, and so
Well,
just naturally
buddy-
you want to be able to help somebody else with it, you know, and that's what the community is about.
And helping Buddy is something we all should do, because you know, his store's running and it's running fine with the staff he has. He was able to leave the store and go to Flushing when they were having their meetings there. And he would show up, and you can see his posts on Instagram and Facebook, him going and talking with them and getting them to reword a lot of what they were going to be putting into the law. And, you know, he made a difference. He's one of the few people out there that are making a difference. And I think we should be looking at co-ops and collectives too. You know, we need to come together, because the only way we can fight big money is with big numbers of votes. And our votes are now going to, the only place they really count anywhere is your local elections anyways. And those are the people that want to keep their jobs, and us pot smokers, like you were saying, Fluff, you know, you all of a sudden medical came around and you came out of the closet to talk about it. Well, that's what all of the medical need to do. They need to come together. And basically, you know, it's somebody needs to be that first linchpin to get everybody to start coming together, and together as talking as a population of people with a population of votes. You know, those people need to voice their opinions, even if they don't smoke cannabis. You know, hey, I don't care if the guy next door has a couple plants that I can see from my backyard balcony. You know, yeah, it may smell during a certain time of year a little bit, and it's discomforting, but he's growing his own medicine. He doesn't have to go out and buy it. So those people need to voice their opinions to their local governments. And we need to come together, because together we can fight money.
You know, for me, you know, when you say that too, it kind of drives me nuts that the only thing that somebody can really argue about is the smell of a cannabis plant. You know, when it's flowering, you know, your neighbor might get a little pissed off, but you know, no one argues when the farmer fucking spreads shit in his fucking field and it smells up a 30-mile radius for fucking weeks. You know, no one cares if that inconveniences anybody. So
Or a
yeah,
big industry,
like,
or a big
yeah.
fucking industry pouring fucking shit into the air.
Curaleaf is
yeah.
us here. Curaleaf has
I mean-
a big grow out here, and they do a lot of indoor and outdoor. So as they set up these the caterpillars, they don't have a permanent filtration at the moment until the buildings are being built, and the whole freaking neighborhood started complaining about the smell, saying that they can't even let their kids outside. But meanwhile, there's freaking helicopter, there's those flyby planes that spray fucking fertilizer on all the cornfields and shit and all this other monocrop crap they don't complain about. They're blind to it, you know. Society, it's ignorance, man. They just don't know.
And I mean, there is a difference. I mean, if you're a big grow up and you got fucking hundreds and hundreds of plants and you're just venting that shit right in the air, yeah, that's annoying. Like, you should do your part to fix that, to be a good neighbor. That's just the fact of the matter, you know. But, you know, one plant, you know, a couple plants isn't gonna fucking destroy a whole neighborhood and make it so unbearable that people are, you know, they can't deal with it. You know, it's not the same. You know, that's not the same thing. But yeah, the fucking industry, right? You know, I work in industry, and I mean those places stink up just whole towns, and don't give a shit about it. So
I
it's
mean,
ridiculous to me.
Well, they're
we
designed.
we got people over here that grow fucking, you know, all types of shit, and I'm probably allergic to half of it, and like I'm not fucking bitching to them. But if they smell cannabis, they're not gonna have a goddamn fucking allergic reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? Like these last couple of days, I'm so congested, it's fucking killing me.
But that's where, you know, it should come down to, if you are growing in your basement and you're venting it out and your neighbor says something, put a filter on it. That's what the neighborly thing is to do.
Yeah. Anyways.
You know, take care of that. And if you're a big facility, then yeah, you should be scrubbing your air before you discharge that.
Or at least give your neighbor a couple joints, bro, so he can't have no reason to complain.
Exactly.
That's what I
And
do.
I'm a little bit of a different caregiver in Michigan too. I give a little bit more when I do caregiving than a lot of caregivers in Michigan. Sometimes I have a tendency to give a whole plant every 35, 40 days.
Yeah.
And you have to trim it, not me.
How much
Hey,
more?
man, I'd be all about just flowering shit out and handing it off to somebody, and he like, here's your meds.
It's your mids. It's like the best mids in town.
So how does the caregiver program work as far as being like monetized? If you are a caregiver, can you charge for that service, or how does that work?
You could charge for it, but basically in Michigan, you get a caregiver. That caregiver is allowed to grow 12 plants for you. That caregiver is allowed a total of 72 plants. And the caregiver doesn't have to be actually licensed medical patient himself either. They could just be a caregiver. They don't have to smoke cannabis and become a caregiver in Michigan.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to grow 72 plants. The shitty thing is you get back to the numbers, and the recreational numbers are your possession of cannabis is a lot more than medical. It's where you get screwed again. But you're allowed to grow 12 plants per patient. And in Michigan, basically, from what I understand, other people give is between 1 and 2 ounces per month, and then a discounted price on if you needed more. Or they would take and they would give you X amount of grams per oil. If you're someone like me and you have a medical patient that needs 30 grams of oil a month, that's what they get. If the patient needs 60 grams of oil a month, that's what they get. You know, if a patient needs oil for fighting cancer and I'm their caregiver, I give them exactly what they need to get by, no less. If anything, I give them more. Because I'm still from that old school where, you know, yeah, I should have been making tons of money and had a huge ass bank account, but I don't, because I do stuff like this. I take care of people. You know, you talk about, hey, I don't have any money. Well, you need medicine. It doesn't matter. I have extra medicine, so I don't make extra money. But you know what? You work on cars, and when you feel good, my car may be broken down. So guess what? I may call you up and say, hey, I ain't got no money for car repair, and I need to get medicine out to patients, or I need to get clones out to people. I need to go take a look at gardens, and that person's going to be there to fix my car for me. That's what cannabis does. You take care of one another.
Karma. That's how it works. Absolutely. It's a great community. Amazing.
Money's nice. Money can buy you a lot of things, but true happiness, it can't.
No.
I found that the more like everything I've given out and asked nothing in return has come back to me tenfold without even asking. So it just works that way in this community.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully, even in life, the concept of giving and receiving, giving without expecting anything in return, it's going to come back to you. It's just it's just how it works. I I just a quick story. I was well, I don't know if it was a low point in my life, but it was a challenging part of my life, and I was delivering food for a Greek restaurant. And I'd park at the back, and I jumped out of the car, and Buddy said, "Listen, man, I need a couple of bucks for gas, or I forget exactly what it was." And I really couldn't afford it, but I don't know. I thought, I'll give it to him. So I went in the restaurant, and the owner's wife was there, and I said, "Yeah, I just gave a couple of bucks to a guy in the back there," and she said to me, she said, "You give with one hand and you take with the other," and it really struck me, and kind of a neat concept. You give with one hand and you take with the other, and it's a balance, I guess. I don't know, but so my Uncle Rick's Zen moment. Okay. I thought that would shut the crowd up.
So sitting in
Fantastic
Thailand, I'm
job.
still smoking some Gorilla Glue from Michigan, some wedding cake, and some. I did find some little bit of Afghani mango from Southern Ohio still.
So do you come across chocolate Thai? I'm just curious. I had to ask.
And all the time I've been here and all the time I've looked for it, I can't find it. It's someplace in Isan, which is the northeast part of Thailand, out towards Cambodia and Laos. I've been told it's there, but I haven't been able to find the chocolate yet. Every other flavor underneath the rainbow, basically. And yes, there are no CBDs that grow between the 0 and 20th parallels. So we have to bring those in. And if we want to do it from seed, it's going to take 3 years to get them in the seed with the Thai strains here. But just like the United States, they opened it up for commercial use of fabric and hemp and fibers and things like that. And like the United States, there's no processing plants, and without processing plants, why even have hemp being legal?
Hey, that's crazy you brought that up, because I've told a dozen of my buddies that the next thing is a processing plant. Is to process all this fiber to textiles, or the oil, or the seeds to oil, or whatever it may be, if it's consumable or if it's going to be used for industrial. And man, I've been saying that shit for like 3 years. If I had the resources for it, it takes a little bit of capital to be able to set up a facility like that to actually take that biomass and that tonnage, because yeah, you can biofuel, shit. The list is on and on and on. The hempcrete, don't get me started. But yeah.
But there's no processing facilities. So
Right.
You're allowing the farmers to grow hemp, but there's no one to buy their products. So you gave them another non-usable crop. I like the idea of what they were doing in North Carolina there, and taking the CBDs and rolling it into pre-rolls and using it to help people reduce the amount of cigarettes to smoke. I think that's a great idea, and I think they should do it with sesquiterpene cannabis or CBD. And that way people can get their CBDs and get something that tastes good, maybe like a cherry or maybe a lemon.
I've seen the excuse me, the smokable CBD change in the last couple of years, and it changes pretty fast. It's there's a lot of indoor CBD being made now to smoke. So the cost of it rises because you're bringing that shit inside, and once you bring it inside, the expense for it isn't the same as keeping an outside plant, but the quality is there. So there's double sides to it. It gets costly now to provide a smokable, good quality CBD. It's like about $40 an eighth or a quarter or something like that retail. So
You can be processing that out in the field.
yeah, but nobody wants to go to a store and look at a jar of indoor CBD and then look at a jar of outdoor CBD and choose the outdoor. And once you crack open that jar and you see it, you're allowed to smell it and see it. It's not like the dispensaries out here that have everything in light-proof jars and a cabinet. You don't know what it is. You could only tell what it is from what they have online available. The CBD is available on the shelf, so you can see it. No one's going to keep choosing that outdoor over the indoor. The visual quality of it isn't the same anymore.
Basically, you're not buying my product through a jar. You're buying it in a pre-roll. And you base that pre-roll on how it smokes. If it smokes good and it has that sesquiterpene and you're able to have that flavor from the first hit to the end,
100%.
then that's all that matters, and your product's going to sell no matter what it is, and people are never going to see it in a jar.
No, you're 100% right, and we sell a lot more pre-rolls than the flower itself, for that matter, because people could just, oh man, the packaging or the pricing or whatever, and there's nothing really to look at quality wise because it's all rolled up and it looks the same from the exterior. And yeah, once that smokes, then I could tell the difference. We do have brands at the shop that sell out 3 times faster than the other ones do. 100%. Yeah.
During my accident, I still have 6 plates and 62 screws left in my face. So my sinuses and my taste buds are all basically gone. I'm a cause and effect person. So I'm a really good person for this. And I'm a really good person to sit down and help people out with their medical issues, because all the other things really don't matter to me, because I don't get that unless it's a sesquiterpene cannabis strain. And that's one thing that if I do have a nursery, that will be the main focus point, is all the strains that I will carry will try to be sesquiterpenes, because that's the only one I could really taste.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
smell.
a lot of artificial terpenes being added to all these products out here. Maybe not artificial in the sense, but they're not cannabis derived terpenes. They're like food flavoring derived terpenes and shit like that. But
That's the big thing here in Asia, is the terpenes and the cannabis terpenes. They think they can add the cannabis terpenes to everything and sell it. They think it's the United States here, and the cannabis culture is not that big. It's not as advanced as the United States. I laugh at it when they try to compare Thailand to the size of basically Colorado. There's 70 million people here, and they think they can make as much money as Colorado does off of cannabis in Thailand.
Well, and I think it also comes down to the part of the education, doesn't it? I mean, a part of it is the greed and stuff, but part of it is they're just throwing it in fucking everything. Like they just, if you have people trying to help, they're doing it the wrong fucking way. So part of that is part of that, the education that you were talking about earlier.
Well, that's what we need to do here in Thailand. And my friend is starting to, we have that project going, and hopefully when it all comes out, he has some of these companies that he's going to be asking that question. You're putting the cannabis in it, but why? All you're doing is adding a cannabis terpene to it, or you're adding CBD to it, But right now, all it is basically, well, it has some cannabis leaf in the tea bag. So they're selling cannabis tea or CBD tea. And basically they're taking a concentrate and adding it back into the flower because they've already extracted everything from that flower. And the only people that are allowed to sell are the people that let their product go to the government, and the government gives them the right to, like the university, to keep their product and sell the product. And that's what gets put into these tea bags with, you know, just the advertisement of it, cannabis being in it, with no beneficial factors at all. And wow, half my panel is gone.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, what the fucking happened here? It was a mass exodus. But no, yeah, that's ridiculous too, because you're getting to the point where, right, why is it going in shit just to go in? Like, there's definitely things that, you know, if edibles, things like that, you know, you make it or you just put that flavor in something and it's way off-putting in most things, you know, when it's not put in correctly. So why the hell are people looking for that? You know, it doesn't
Not only
just
that, they're wanting to charge $8 and $10 for the drink, and you're talking about someone's whole day pay here in Thailand. Do you think that's really going to float?
right. It's completely unsustainable.
You know, a lot of Thai people only make 3,000 to 5,000, 9,000 baht, $300 a month. You know, they can't afford an $8 to $10 drink. But they think that it can happen here in Asia, and it's just not going to. It's not the United States.
Well,
And,
even
you
here,
know,
even here in the United States, it's kind of set up that way. You know, it's set up to where the people who need it can't afford it. You know, recreationally, you're paying upwards $90 an eighth for weed. You know, and that's supposed to be with social equity here in Illinois. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be helping people that have been affected by the war on drugs, but you know, most cannabis users can't go out there and afford that. You know, even with a medical card, you're spending $60 a day. You know, these are, and what the way they just have it set up is just pretty wild. You know, and it shows what the true motives are, and that's why I'm excited to try to get out to somewhere like Michigan or a more progressive state. You know what I mean, and really help a movement and a cause that's already got a little bit of momentum and stuff like that moving.
well, you're in Illinois. Why don't you try to do something there in Illinois? You're allowed to home grow, yes.
Yeah.
And anything under, what is it, 6 inches is not
5
considered
inches,
a plant? 5 inches.
Yeah, you were talking about that whole cloning thing, and a bunch of light bulbs went off. So, cheers.
You know, that's a way for someone to help the community. And, you know, what's a better way than handing out, you know, 6, 8, 10-inch clones for $20? You know, or hey, listen, I'm a new grower. Oh, you're a new grower and you need 12 clones. Well, instead of $20, say, you know, hey, $100.
Yeah, I'm always out here preaching for people to get their medical card, even if they don't want to go use it at the dispensary, just for the fact that they can legally grow their own medicine. I'm constantly preaching that out here, and always trying to get people started up on their own and stuff.
The more people that grow their own medicine, the more states that can keep that home grow. And that's what we can't let go, is the home grow. Ohio got screwed over when they went medical because there's no home grow. If you
That's why I'm
can't
scared
grow a
about the
couple plants at
recreational side.
home, then
That's why they're pushing out this whole medical thing and pushing for recreational, so they can take out the home growing period, you know, and that takes away, you know, a lot of therapeutic aspect for me alone. You know what I mean? I love getting in the garden and having that time. But, you know, yeah.
Yeah, but you're the competition because you know what? You're not going to turn down your neighbor if he says, "Hey, can I get a bag off of you?"
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and you say,
that's
"Well, I
what
need a
that's
tank
what they
of
don't want.
gas."
They want you to have to go pay $90 for an eighth. You know. And,
Well,
Exactly.
and then what do? They come in and they ruin it. I mean, you just look at like once the people who are set up to take over this industry, your Marlboro, your Camel, and all that, and you start looking what they did to the fields of tobacco and shit they spray on it, and what they've fucking bullied into being okay to be on that plant for consumption.
well, look at
And
Delta
then
8.
it's just going to be the same goddamn thing.
Look at what they did with
So
Delta 8. They've taken
keep
perfectly good CBD flower that they were able to grow and legally sell, and you can't even find good CBD flower anywhere around here because they spray it all with this Delta 8 stuff, and now they got a Delta 10. They got Delta 0. All you got to do is manipulate it any type of way, and that's all because of the war on drugs, really, you know, and the way they got it set up. And
well, that's flat out what it is. It's because they've, you know, made this whole thing such an enigma and so illegal that now all of a sudden we have to chemically treat it so that we can get them as close to the natural thing as we're trying to give them anyway.
it's because it's a
Like,
schedule.
what the fuck is the point of that? Like, that just drives me nuts.
I think they went brain dead from the head being so far up the ass. But I don't know. Cheers. I really appreciate you coming out on the show. It's been awesome. Thank you so much. Seriously, it was great hearing you talk. And I really, like I said before, I appreciate everything you've done, you know, up till now and your future plans. So cheers.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because, you know, that's one of the reasons why I want to get back to Michigan and, you know, make sure that Michigan keeps their caregivers. You know, I joined Normal to make cannabis legal. We settled for medical cannabis. Now everybody is settling for recreational, and you know, there's no fight left like that I seen that we had going on back in the 90s for, you know, legalizing cannabis and doing away with all the laws. You know, no plant counts or anything like that. And if you do that, then there is no black market because everybody can grow it and there's not a limit on how much they can grow.
Hey, so tell everybody where can we find you, man? You're on social media platform or anything?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Ohio's_/ Captain_Dank.
We're
So
gonna
it's
have to
Ohio's Captain Dank. If you type
Ohio's
that in, it comes on up.
cool, man.
Yeah, I couldn't get Captain 420, only 420 on YouTube.
Hey,
Fair enough.
you know what I did think is like really cool though, because you know, like we have been known to get kind of childish and a little ridiculous on this show, and then we get a very informative, wonderful guest who is so full of fucking knowledge. But the problem is he's hung out on this show once or twice, and now there may be mystery sightings in bathrooms in Thailand. I fucking love that. I fucking love that, man.
Well, that was one of my little thoughts because my friend was saying, well, you're going back to the United States and you're talking about going out and possibly seeing if you can't go see maybe like Mean Gene or someone like that. And it was brought up, well, you know, you're doing it for Eagle, and on Monday at the Wormhole when it's not raining, I've taken them out to the White Temple and did the podcast from the White Temple. One of the Wormholes the week earlier, I did it from the Blue Temple. And the idea was to maybe start doing podcasts and doing people's podcasts traveling around the country and possibly meeting other cannabis growers and breeders and enthusiasts or just stoners, or maybe even sometimes some people from the music industry. Because
That's a very
cannabis did open up that industry to me in Cleveland, and that was a wonderful experience. And I thank Mr. Hank LeConte so much for that.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's super cool. And yeah, I need to go back and watch that, because I think I remember seeing like a snippet of that while you were on there, and I believe it was the White Temple. And I was like, I thought it was a video filter at first.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I don't get to post any cannabis pictures, but I do get to post a lot of rain pictures, and I post that for everybody back there at home. Ohio doesn't need the rain, but a lot of the rest of the country needs the rain. So I post this because it is rainy season and I'm wishing it to come to you. And these are my sunrises in the morning. I am new to Instagram, so the sideways pictures, they look really nice sideways. Sorry if you have to turn your monitor that way. But I am new to Instagram. I haven't quite figured out how to do posting quite that well yet. I need that boomer course. But when I went to high school, there was only one computer class. So come on.
Yeah, I think I hear you on that one. There was one course and it was just typing, like, and trying to figure out how to actually like make your disk drive run, because you had to manually type in codes for that shit. Yeah, that was the kind of computer education we had. I'll tell you what, Hype, whatever you're saying, we can't hear a thing.
I don't know my fingers. I do not use homebrew.
We're getting feedback.
How about now?
Yeah, if you keep your hands over. Talk.
It must be too noisy in there, and then the noise canceling in there is really getting like to where it's cutting everything out.
No.
How's that?
If you mute yourself and you don't say anything, perfect.
Okay, take those things off from around your neck there. I think that's the problem. This is my techie side coming out.
Oh, Hype, we're gonna have to freaking Photoshop Rick's face.
Oh shit. Rick's gonna start fucking giving out tech advice. Everybody get out your notepads.
We're gonna have to get his own sticker.
Okay, I think we can hear you now, Hype.
All right. No, I was just commenting on Fluff going, I remember typing class where they wanted you to use home row. And I'm like, no, I will use all of my fingers. I will not use home row. I can't do it. My brain can't process that.
My fingers and hands and brain don't work together anyway, so I'm the type of person that sits there and still uses one thumb to text on his phone, or one finger. I can't get two fingers to go at one time in my brain.
Yeah.
I use two thumbs, but I type it. I don't swipe. I'm still old school and I still hit each button.
I can't do that. I can't do that swipey swipe stuff. I come up with some words that sound like Johnny trying to do his voice text.
Is that what that is when he's typing in the Discord and it's just complete nonsense? I thought it was just really high.
Well, it is. He's really high, and then he tries to voice chat his phone, and holy shit, he comes up with some real good stuff.
It's the combination.
I've got a problem. I actually know words that are a lot bigger than what I can spell. And I can't spell 4-letter words sometimes. So I have a problem.
Join the club.
And today, you know, you have cultivars instead of strains, and the new money that's coming into cannabis is changing the lingo from what we once knew. And we were actually changing the lingo from what it was in the 60s and 70s, in the 90s and early 2000s. And again, here in the mid 2020 now, you know, the lingo and the wording for cannabis is changing again. I know I'm learning a hell of a lot more words.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
I've
mean,
definitely noticed it. In like the last like 4 or 5 years, it went from like just sativa indica to now there's like a general understanding that like that doesn't even matter, but we still use the terminology.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think is that the cannabis industry's brought so much money into the agriculture, horticulture industry that they've merged, and some of these guys that have been growing crops that they couldn't afford the technology that the cannabis industry's brought has been able to do their homework now and merge some of this science together, and the cannabis industry's picked up the terminology and the husbandry, while the rest of the industry, monoculture guys and horticulture guys have picked up the equipment, the advancement of that money has bought from the cannabis industry for sure. You know, so instead of being a bunch of bro science terminology, they're getting technical. You know, you gotta get a damn cannabis degree soon.
And I mean, I guess it's kind of where it was always going to head to, though. I mean, you know, if we wanted to get it out there and get it to everybody, it was going to go that way eventually. You know, but it'll still be the fucking hobby for everybody to tailor their medicine to themselves.
100%. I've always compared it to the day that they legalized. For me, would be I could go outside and put a row next to my tomatoes. You know, I could go into a grow store and buy a pack of seeds on the counter just right next to my exotic peppers or these the kind of what are those reapers now that everybody wants to grow. It's like there's people crossing them, and it's the same thing. There's an entry level for everything, and then there's the extreme hobbyist for everything. When you're a kid, you start off at the toy store with a little battery powered remote control shit that you got to charge every 15 minutes. And then when you're an adult, you got a 3,000, ethanol powered freaking jet that costs you $300 every time it hits the ground or something like that. So I see it. Some people don't have a green thumb and want to buy it. Some people love the outdoors and want to have it. Some people will pay the service for a gardener or your landscape guy to maintain your cannabis plants in your own yard. There's going to be the whole range, and that's when it's legal for me, man.
Yeah. When it's exactly like that, when it is like a fucking tomato, when it is like a rose bush, when it is like, when we can do whatever, say whatever, big business has their horrible fucking boxed up, cannabis reds, and there's fucking absolute connoisseur level, and then there's going to be your hobby level. I mean, and the hobbyists are going to be the ones trying to fucking blow the guys who are doing the micro grows out. It'll all get there, but man, the road to get there is just going to be horrible, and we got to make sure that we keep the motherfuckers who are trying to get it honest. And that's where people like Captain 420 come in, because all that work with he did for normal and everything else. We need to continue on this work while this is going on, so we can get to our little fucking promised land out there where it is what it is. Never forget, just because they're giving us a little bit here and there, don't fucking stop the fight. Can't give that shit up.
That's the truth, because I mean, I had to fight for my right to be able to just use cannabis as medicine here on parole. You know what I mean? I had to go to Normal and get a lawyer and you know, fight back. I had that one parole officer who grew up with reefer madness propaganda in his brain, you know what I mean, and viewed it as a horrible thing, you know what I mean? So thanks to organizations like Normal, they led me in the right direction to a lawyer, and I was able to, you know what I mean, do what I had to do. So you know, those are definitely important, up until the fact that they pull their head out of their ass and realize it's a plant.
You mentioned a rose, and on the back of our Normal chapter, our t-shirts, we had a saying, and it was, what if it was a felony to grow a rose? And that's what we put on the back of our Normal t-shirts. And we tried to get people to understand, you know, what if just growing a plant that doesn't harm anybody looks beautiful to some people and smells beautiful to some people, but it's just a plant. Why is it illegal? Why?
Absolutely.
Because somebody back in 1930s decided they were going to buy nylon from Germany and really didn't want the competition of cannabis anymore. So not only did they help fund World War II for Germany by buying the nylon, they also pushed cannabis out. And it gave the way for the United States to make money off of something. And big business won again because nylon pushed hemp out. And the United States government did it all over the world. That's why Thailand has lost a lot of their strains, and a lot of the rest of the world has lost a lot of their strains, because the signing of all the compacts and everything that outlaws cannabis throughout the world. So
It's
the
not
medical
just
side got set back, you know, many years with this whole medical thing. You know, how many strains were actually wiped out because of this? And the war on drugs in the United States, how many strains were wiped out because of that?
Yeah.
I actually read something that when they used to feed the cows hemp, they were actually a lot more healthy and everything else too. And that decreased after the removal of hemp, which transfers into our food. I mean,
Exactly. You know, and if a cow is going to be healthier off of hemp, then give them hemp. You know, if concrete block are going to be lighter, let it go in. You know, or we have to look at using different materials in our world, or we're going to destroy it even quicker. You know, I feel sorry for everybody younger than me, because like my daughter's age, or even my granddaughter's age, that generation is screwed, in my honest opinion, if, you know, they don't start doing something now. We've been preaching it all this time. It's time for action. And, you know, you've allowed the farmer to grow hemp. Why not allow them to use it? Give them processing plants. Let this product, you know, the hemp board and the hempcrete, we talk so much about it. Let's start using it. Shit.
Yeah, that is the biggest problem. We have all the fucking technology to do stuff with it. And I mean, like, granted, some of it, you know, kind of like the hemp diesel isn't really like on par to where it's really fathomable yet to, you know, put in production or large scale. But yeah, like the hemp board, the hempcrete, I mean, it's been through, you know, enough testing to where it should start be getting used. Like, stop. Why aren't we? We know it's there. We're producing more hemp than ever. Like, let's start. Exactly. Let's start using this shit. And you know, that's part of, like, you know, in the construction trade too, is supporting it. You know, like they have to be the ones to jump out and say, yeah, I'm gonna try it.
I know every bricklayer out there in the world to be right on top of that shit, man. Every laborer out there that has to touch every block and take it from a pallet and put it right next to the bricklayer up on a pallet or a board or something also. You know, all those people touching all that, they would love something, because I did split rock, and 12-inch split rock weigh about 76 pounds a piece for the white ones. And the red colored ones are about 64 pounds a piece. And you're touching those 8 hours a day, and they're sharp as razors. So yeah, if you could add hemp to that and shave off 20, 25 pounds per block and still be as strong, if not stronger, material and much cheaper, then hell yeah.
Less wear and tear on our bodies.
The laborers union and the bricklayers union would be all up for that shit, man. And then you put it into the carpentry and you start using an press board. Pacific Northwest was the company out west that did the study back in the 90s and did the hemp press board, and found out that it was far superior than anything else they could make.
Yeah, but then what would they do with all the waste from all the powerhouses? They can't make drywall. You know, if they have a better version of drywall, then we have to figure out what to do with all that waste. You know, we can't just build houses with it anymore.
But at least now we can, you know, with the way the laws have started to change, you know, I won't say everything's bad, but I'll say the medical side has gotten kind of fucked up, and everybody's opinion of recreation, we have recreational, okay, we can stop and everything, you know, I think that's really fucked up too. But, you know, at least now our farmers are legally allowed to grow hemp. So there is that possibility of it happening. It's just the people need to start to take the actions. And the people that control it not really happening are the people that, you know, own the drywall company, own the pink insulation company that's made out of fiberglass, and all these other companies. They're still keeping it illegal. If not, you know, there would be processing plants and we'd have it by now. That's my honest opinion.
Right. I mean, how nice would it be to, you know, take something like hemp to use for the, even if at minimum, the insulation in your house, to where you're, you know, you're using probably what's going to be the byproduct that it's already been, you know, extracted. We've already got whatever use we can. Now we can make the insulation out of it. And now we don't have to make that fake ass fucking fiberglass. You know, we can now use something natural instead. It'd be great, but that makes way too much damn sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we got a question. Go ahead.
Even if we had to, you know, throw it out every 2 or 3 years and spray it back in as that type of an insulation, you know, it's all biodegradable, you know, just like you said, that pink shit.
Yeah.
What happens to that? How long does that take to break down? What happens if it catches fire? What type of fumes does it give off to our atmosphere?
Right.
I'm sorry, Rick.
No. I just noticed that Robin had a question in chat, and it was on my mind as well. He was asking about what happened to the Thai stick strain, and I was going to ask the same thing. God, I remember that so distinctly. It was head and shoulders above anything else I was smoking at the time.
The Thai stick strain, there's, you know, they still make it. But basically a lot of the cannabis comes in from Laos. It all comes in from Laos. A little bit comes in from Burma, Myanmar, but a lot of Thailand's cannabis comes in from Laos because Laos's cannabis laws are completely different and have been. And that's originally where a lot of the Thai stick actually came from too.
Oh yeah.
The Thai stick that was coming from Vietnam was coming up. It's the Isan part where they have the chocolate Thai and everything, but they would grow and do everything here in Thailand. And if the government came, they would just cross the river and the Mekong River and go into the either Cambodia or Laos
Uh-huh.
to get
Uh,
away. But it's basically a big forest and park up there. So it's Indian, it's a like an Indian type village tribe that does the Thai. And it's fermented in the ground. They wrap it up in banana leaves and put it
oh,
in the ground on the Thai
oh,
stick.
that's interesting. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the stick itself. Oh, I forget what they call it when uh not a gimmick, but yeah, we have it a lot in the cannabis industry where you want to have an image or something, so you relate it to something. Oh, there's a terminology for it. Anyway, cut to the chase. Yeah, I mean, the product itself was absolutely incredible, but along with it, you got that little stick, and then you got the tie wrap around, and it was really cool. Not marketing. I can't think of it.
I wish I never in my day got to actually see any. I wish I would have been able to. That to me is still just a legend that has never been in mine. So I'm
Oh
very
yeah.
jealous of anybody who's actually seen or been a part of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Also, that fluff. There's a lot of those strains that you hear about from like 60s, 70s, 80s that like a young fucker like myself would just love to get his hands on and try out.
Yeah, no, it was heads and shoulders above, and that would have been a land race sativa, correct, Captain?
Well, this could be a whole nother discussion if you wanted to get into it actually, because no one it's all kind of like I tell people, if you want seeds, hit me up on Instagram. I'll send you some seeds. It's a big pheno hunt. And here there is an indica and there's a sativa plant. There's a few of us, that's why I said this could open up a whole new discussion, that believe that in every region of the world that there is pretty much a landrace indica and sativa. And of course, the hybrids in between because of getting cross pollinated.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's hard to tell. From what I understand, a lot of it was made from a strain that came out of Thailand called squirrel's tail. And that's more of a sativa plant. And I'm still trying to learn how to get pictures from literally Google photo album to go on to Instagram. I can't get them to go. They won't pull up the photos for me. So I'm going to learn how to get them to move over, but I call it the majestic plant and it's on its third harvest. And it's a squirrel's tail plant. And the only thing basically left is the top part of the plant. And underneath has already been harvested. So you actually get, a harvest period that is a month long here in Thailand, if not a little bit longer.
It's fucking awesome. I wish I could play in that kind of outdoor environment just to see what kind of cool shit you could do, you know. And like you said, three harvests a year. Like that's amazing. That's so fucking cool.
Even being able to pull off 2 outdoor harvests. And people should be looking at that too. If you know you have the opportunity and you can be able to grow outdoor, why not use it and get those 2-3 harvests a year with very little output?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big advocate. If you can get outside, if you can, use your work, use everything you got outside to make, your natural medicine that you bring back to yourself. And the more you can get, like you say, more harvests like that, if you can get a double, that's fucking awesome. For somebody like me, I'd probably have to do it like with a little bit of light depth and a greenhouse or a hoop house or something to get something like that done. And that'd end up being a lot of work, but totally fucking worth it.
Since I've been here in Thailand, I see a lot of greenhouses and things like that. And coming from the old school way of growing cannabis and growing cannabis outdoors in Southern Ohio and Northern Ohio, I look at it and I have another friend here. He does the test gardens for the Thai Farmers Council. Hopefully you all get to meet him sometime soon too. He comes from California, and we're the old school where, okay, how much is it going to cost us to build it? And then you actually go to somebody and you say, hey, I need this built. And, you're not getting charged a corporation price, you're getting charged an individual price because you're going to fabricators that are going to build it for you. So, I see it was 6,000 square meters of greenhouse for 35,000 US dollars. So it's 18,000 square feet of greenhouse for 35,000 US dollars. But you can go to a fabricator here in Thailand and they'll build you the same exact thing for half the price, if not a third of the price.
Absolutely. I mean, for what any of that is, you can build it yourself for way friggin' cheaper than, and the worst part is once they start marketing, if you get some, a company that specializes, now you're really screwed, then they really jack the price up on you. But yeah, none of this stuff's hard to make. They're not doing anything that special.
But if you have, the area to put up a greenhouse, that would be the way I would definitely go that way. And, okay, you only have 12 plants. Well, guess what? That whole greenhouse takes up 12 plants. You just make them trees like Mendo style, I guess. And they start a lot of their plants, from what I understand, in like making clones in mid-November.
Yeah, they're planting shit that's bigger than my like finished plants when I have big finished plants. They're just putting them in for the season at that point. God, it's fun to see.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, it's fun to see, but I don't think I'd really want to do that. Like, have you ever watched their harvest video where it takes them, like days and days to just chop that plant down? They're crawling all over that sun. That just looks like the biggest pain in the ass.
Yeah. And, that's where the question comes in, okay, where is the point where you make concentrate, and what point is the product going out to the general public or to medical patients? And in my opinion, with all these new types of ways of making concentrate and squishing resin and every other type of words you can think of, with all the little bottom shit, is fucking great. Don't have to trim it, don't have to do nothing about it, just cut it off the plant. If it's got crystals on it, leave it. Why? Because it's all going to get washed, it's all going to get ground up, it's all going to get pressed, whatever. And all you have to worry about trimming is the top of the buds.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it can be hard enough to fight a plant outside, and then you have those, those like leg size colas, where you just sit there and you're like, there's no way I'm gonna, that's gonna rot like a son of a bitch before you ever get to do anything with it. I just hate to see how much loss is, because I haven't grown anything the size of theirs, maybe half the size of one of theirs at best outdoors. And it got so thick that hell, I lost fucking over half the plant just to bud rot and stuff. That, and I thought I had it under control. I had it tarped over so there wasn't, dew and rain falling directly on it and stuff. But it's still just too damn humid outside. Can't really plug in a fucking fan in the forest,
I know a lot of people that right next to their grow, because of the way California is set up and the way that their metric system is set up and the way it goes from seed to sale and through to distribution and everything. A lot of the farms are literally putting up houses and slow curing their cannabis because of the amount of cannabis that's being grown in California. And for the long time that it takes to actually get stuff processed through all their systems. And I think every state should follow like Oklahoma and tell metrics to get out of cannabis, because that's one thing that is really, keeping me away from doing anything recreational, that's for sure. And thinking about other ways of, besides flowering out a cannabis plant to get away around the cannabis metric system in Michigan, is because I don't want to have to weigh up, I go through the room and I pull off leaves and I have to weigh those up, and every time I go through the room, that's a pain in the ass. What other, you could do that with tobacco. You clean up the plant and you make the tobacco company write down how much they put, they take off. Shit. It's just
Right,
trash.
That's always been my argument, when they get in the game and they start, going by, when they pay to have their rules, right? What are they going to be spraying on these plants, and what is going to be deemed acceptable, when they get to do whatever they want to make sure, because they're not going to lose fucking crops. They're going to make sure they get their harvest. They're going to make sure it goes out for fucking sale by any means possible. And so, it's just like, the tobacco that we used to smoke back in the day was not as bad as it is, today. Now it's so full of fucking chemicals and everything else, it's just fucking disgusting. And that's exactly what they'll end up doing to the mass-produced cannabis that's out there. Hell yeah, I just did a Rick, man. That's how you kill the conversation.
You killed the whole freaking chat, bro. So there's always gonna be that Marlboro, Budweiser of cannabis. Like I've said this before. And then there's the local craft guys that, you know, they have the special seasoning that they make their loaf of bread that you could only get in their local area and shit, you know, type grower. And the same thing with these guys doing the IPAs and all the home brews nowadays. You know, it's your choice, and you just got to wake up and not be society, bro. They don't know. They just go to the grocery store and buy what's on the shelves. You know, we're in the industry. We talk about it every day. We're not blind to these things, you know, so it's not like that for everybody. So a lot of it is just education.
Yeah. And I mean,
It's also environment and ability, and, you know, just like with a regular grow. You know, if you don't have the room to grow your own food or do anything like that, you're kind of stuck. You're muted.
So if I do end up with this micro license in Michigan, my business will have a cafe where you come in and we sit down and we discuss cannabis with you, especially if you're a first-time patient, and go through that. It's also a place where growers can come in and talk. But the education needs to go out about the different type of strains of cannabis, and also how they also affect different people different ways. So not everything works for everybody. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Prophet. I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, no, I was done.
That'll tie into that co-op grow facility perfectly. Same people using that facility could use that lounge area, and have people from the outside, and so forth and so forth. So yeah, no, you're on the right page, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I wish you all the best in that endeavor, Captain 420. I'm gonna have to start my day here, but I really want to take the opportunity to thank you for meeting you, and thank you, panel, for sharing your morning with me. Chat, as always, lively and active, and I'll take my leave and see you guys real soon. Love you.
Take it
Thanks
easy,
a lot.
Rick.
Peace, Uncle Rick.
Later, Rick.
great day, Uncle Rick.
Yeah, well,
We have been here a hot minute. I think I might have fucking run out too.
I've been sitting here working the whole time, but I've worked up a fucking appetite. So I'm gonna have to
I'm getting there.
myself. Join society.
I'm just in the background listening to everybody. I'm just doing my garden work.
Captain, I'm gonna reach out to you, man. I really love that idea, and I got friends and people in Michigan now in the whole co-op thing and caregiver scene. So we'll be in contact. I loved your seed idea also. So it was a pleasure having you on the show. We definitely learned a little bit or a lot. At least I did. And pleasure everyone in chat again. Make sure you follow Caribou Heart. I'm getting together another giveaway with Caribou, some AC Infinity stuff. So I'm gonna reach out to them. I didn't know they had that light coming out. So we'll see how crazy this little giveaway could get. But stay tuned, guys. It was a pleasure like always. Take it easy.
Later, Rods.
Peace, 4 acres.
Brother.
Yeah, man, I just want to say, dude, it's been great talking with you, man. You've been a wealth of knowledge, and it's been a fucking awesome conversation. So, you know, my hat's off to you. I really enjoyed fucking getting to hang out with you this morning. So, cheers, brother, and everybody else, man.
I'll second that. Sorry I haven't been as present as usual here, but I'm leaving town tomorrow to head out of town for work. So it's kind of the last day shuffle where you got to kind of get everything centralized so you can throw it in the card. But I've been listening in on the background the whole time. As you can tell, I've got 2 screens going. So if I'm in the living room, kitchen area, I can hear what's going on. If I'm in the car, bring the phone. In the bedroom, bring the phone. It's been a lot of fun, though.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on, you know, giving me a place to meet some new people and make some new friends like all you guys there. You know, we finally get to see here on Zoom instead of just in chat. And this is what makes it wonderful for me. You know, it's more than what you guys can really imagine, being 10,000 miles away and getting to be able to do something like this when basically you are locked down. You're basically not traveling anything like state to state. That ain't happening anytime soon.
But it's a two-way street though, man, because like we're just pleased as punch to be talking to somebody that's over in Thailand right now. It's like to us, that's the coolest shit right there. It's like, you know, we've had Buds is Smoking on. He's from South Africa. Like, it just shows how truly worldwide this is. The cannabis movement, cannabis scene, whatever you want to refer to it as. And it's like, and for the most part, those good people that just want to move it forward for the right reasons, we all just seem to group together. I love it. And I want to have you back on again where I can maybe on like a Tuesday night or something like that, or however, well, when you come back stateside, actually, because then we'll be closer to both. So we should, and my computer froze.
Yeah, well, you're there in Canada, and because of my last trip to Canada, they told me next time I come to Canada, just expect to be pulled out of the car and searched. So I'm not going to be coming back to Canada anytime soon. So if you were in the United States, I say there could be a chance that there in August, September, October, November, that I could possibly come meet you. There's a lot of people out there in chat that I'm going to be going out and meeting, because I do have a time period where, you know, my 12 plants are going to be in veg. And, you know, my genetic seeds that I've got going are going to be seedlings. So why not take that 3 months basically, and the 3 months that it takes for the permits to go through, to go travel and meet people, pick up genetics, you know, trade genetics, talk bullshit, and, you know, learn. And that's why I thought about possibly, you know, going on when I come on shows like yours, be someplace out in nature.
It's a huge.
If you had me on during the daytime, I could have gone out to the flower garden.
Yeah, no, it's I know on this show when we've had people come in and joining us when they're out at a park or at a lake or whatever, typically people get a real kick out of it. And that's, you know, we get to see stuff like that in North America fairly frequent, right? We never so yeah, let's see what Thailand or what else Michigan has to offer wherever you're at, man. That's a great idea. Because it's not just our podcast that people like to see that stuff on. It's everywhere. I know it's just like yeah, like anytime you get to see it a little different than the norm, right? See what the culture in that area is.
Oh yeah. And the culture here in Thailand, as far as living up in the north in Cannabis, I live in the second largest city in the north, and I call it Mayberry of Thailand. You know, dusk comes and you don't see a cop. You can smoke out on the street at night here. At least I can, because most of my cannabis doesn't smell like theirs.
Okay, so what's now you got me interested. What's the difference between your cannabis and theirs in smell?
Mine smells like a skunk. I've been told by police that my cannabis doesn't smell. It smells different to them than ganja here from Cambodia and Laos and Thailand.
That's very cool.
I smoke indica. So, you know, I'm smoking, like I said, Gorilla Glue, wedding cake, the Afghani mango, and chong and cheese. So the chong and cheese is based, and I mix it because I want the different effects, but I always need the chong and cheese in there because it does have some, this one has CBD in it. But it gives me the effects that I need, and that one right there throws them off. That, and the Afghani mango throws them off.
You know, this
It
could be
doesn't-
some real stoner bullshit that I have heard, you know, but I have to ask. I don't know where skunks are in the world, but I've heard like it's not normal for other people when they smell skunky skunk, they don't think of a skunk, you know, it's not what they think of at all. So to them, it's not the same thing, you know.
But it's repulsive.
I
It's
find it
repulsive.
actually mouth-watering when I smell it.
It's because you like it.
That's just because you're.
It's a great slam.
Maybe I smell worse. I don't know.
Fluff, you're on mute.
I do have one shout out, and this is probably one of the most important ones out there. And this is to Abolish at the Michigan Pro Grows show. And putting out all the things and memes that he puts out for going against the manufacturers there in Michigan. You know, I forgot him when I shout out the group there. And, you know, thanks for sending all those. I greatly appreciate that. And big thumbs up to you, brother. I didn't want to forget you.
I'm seeing something in live chat about oh fuck, what was it? The fucking the sideways.
Sideways.
Yeah. What's the sideways pussy? Let's hear about that. No, I'm not gonna bite on that story.
Sideways pussy here. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
I will tell you that actually, if a girl up here in the north or in Bangkok walks really good in high heels, you kind of have to wonder if she's really a girl. And because some of these lady boys, I mean, oh my
He said
God.
lady boys. Yes.
The lady boys, they look better and they can walk in high heels much better than the Thai girls. Hi, welcome. Good morning.
Hi,
This is my girlfriend, White Widow.
just listening
But,
to you guys, so figured I'd
yeah.
get dressed on the other side of the camera and come in front of it.
We can just say that, you know, they're
I was listening to,
minded here in Thailand to, you know, girls, boys, things like that. I'll say girls and boys, not meaning under the age of 18 or anything. Girls and boys is male and female. Okay. As far as sexuality, it's kind of just opened and, you know, kind of more accepted.
I heard they don't call it bang cunt. That's why they call it Bangkok. So, yeah.
If you thought, you know, the movie was outrageous, come here. And especially come here when there's no money here in the country. Everybody's out of work and everybody's broke. You know, yeah, it's really sad because you actually do get to see that side of it and what people are willing to do and for how little in this world just to have a bed to sleep and a hot shower and a meal in the morning.
Desperation is a motherfucker.
I lucked out. I just have to do him.
Jeez, that's more work than it's worth, isn't it?
But yeah, it's yeah, you look at that movie, Hangover, and yeah, it's everything's real. Plus, here in all of Asia, the sexual, I look at the sexual culture here in Asia being more like Europe, more advanced. We all kind of forget that America is only, a few hundred years old. We're a bunch of prudes compared to Asia, that's for sure, and Europe. But we can have a whole different section on that one, guys. I don't want to keep you all up. I know y'all got things to do. I appreciate you giving me a night on the show and getting a chance to meet all you guys and everybody out there. I'm gonna watch the show, and any of you want to get a hold of me, send out seeds in the United States and to Canada, and if you're outside the United States, send me shipping, and I'll ship you some Thai seeds. I really don't count them. I just put them in a couple gram bags and send them out. It's a big pheno hunt of 100 to 150K strains. Have fun.
You know what? I actually might.
That's awesome.
It might just, pop like a dozen or so just and see and just wean out the ones that you might not want and have a couple and just dedicate a light to those and see what happens. That sounds like it could be fun.
If I was to do them, what I would do is basically pop them from seed, get them to like the second internode, and put them immediately on 8 hours.
8 hours.
8 hours of light. Because we found that to get some of them to flower with light depth, it takes 8 hours of light. We have to black them out the rest of the time to get them to flip. So if you give them 8 hours of light and basically do it from seed like we used to do sativas, because we didn't want them to get, really tall. Because if you let these go, you're looking at 15, 18-foot plants.
That sounds fun too. Now you make me want to get a greenhouse with a wood stove in it so it can handle going through till like what that'd be like January or something like that if you tried to do them up here.
I'm thinking of hitting a forest over here. We have a better harvesting season and everything else. I'll just spread them out everywhere.
Yeah, this could be fun.
So yeah, if anybody wants seeds, hit me up. I'll get you out some seeds. But I'm really fucking high too.
I got
yeah.
super stoned. I guess that's why I got stuck that last dab. But man, pleasure having you talk, all that good stuff, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the passion you've had for it. Still have for it. And it's awesome having you on here. It looks like I have 5% battery, so I'm gonna jet. But thank you so much, guys. Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank
Later,
you.
DP.
Hey, well, I guess it seems like good as time as any to wind her down for the day. Man, it's been great to actually finally get to meet you. We've been bullshitting in chat for quite a while now. We've been trying to get you on the show for over a month. It's just fucking trying to make it happen, but we finally did. And we sincerely really would like to get you on again. Maybe once you're back stateside and we can have a more further in-depth talk about all things cannabis. And,
yeah, I really enjoyed the all-around shows, and I can fit in just about on any talk. But I really enjoyed the talking. I wish I could have shut up a little bit more and let all you guys talk more. But maybe on the next show that can happen. I'll just sit back and let you guys enjoy the view or something. If it's a nighttime show, you get to see my daytime.
Yeah,
That would be cool. Yeah.
That would be cool.
It was definitely a
everybody
pleasure to
shows
meet
off-
you, Captain.
Everybody shows off their artwork and everything. And this is old school tie-dye,
Very cool.
but we still make those. We get these things called fractals in ours that are really fucking cool. You get lost for a while.
I can imagine.
That's awesome.
So
All right.
yeah, microdosing is really great for pain too, by the way.
Are you shipping that now? It came in.
All right, guys. We guys will shut her down now. Captain, it was a pleasure, and we will have you on again, most definitely. Prophet, White Widow, I love you guys. Always great to bullshit with you. And,
Caribou.
fuck that
Thank you.
asshole in the empty screen. That guy's a dickhead.
Yeah, that dude's taking up space. Captain, it was a pleasure to meet you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Glad I got the
Thank
chance
you
to see
so
you.
much.
Everyone in chat, we
Yeah.
love you. You guys are the bomb. You guys are the reason all this stuff keeps happening. And thank you for your support. We'll continue to keep cranking this stuff out. And we'll see you all Tuesday morning. Fuck that. We'll see you all Tuesday night for our Tuesday night talk. And peace out.